Right.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Meet the Scene. This wonderful episode we are featuring Alex Snodz of Byfield, currently
Of course.
playing for Team Endpoint. The hero himself, the legend of Shake My Fucking Hand is is that guy.
Year old now that.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I was going to touch on that at some point, but that was probably the first point that I really came across who you were to an extent, because I think you were playing under Ionic, and I knew your name at the time, but I'd never really known who you were. And then when that video came out, and I was just like, who the fuck is this guy, man? Jesus Christ, like what has happened here? But at the same point, then when I've actually started speaking to you after that, and obviously when you joined uFrag and things like that, it was just genuinely like you speak to yourself, and you notice it's just the genuine passion that you have in the game when you're playing it, sort of thing, right? And like for me, that's the big difference. Is you see people do it and they're just doing it for the sake of shit talking to be an arsehole, and then there's that when you're just in the moment and you're like just so into it that you just kind of overflow with it. And now I'm just like, yeah, the guy's a legend. But yes, either way, Snodz has finally joined us after a various.
Finally.
Yeah, it's been a while to get this one done. But we'll start it the same way as we start every single one. So for you, I know obviously you like flirted with World of Warcraft a fair amount before getting into Counter Strike.
Yeah,
But when was the first time you got into Counter Strike, and was it like, were you aware of like the whole like esports and competitive side of it when you first began?
So yeah, I was playing WoW, and basically what would happen was okay. If someone's played World of Warcraft, there's this thing called 3v3. Once the queues of that would die out about 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, like me and the people I played WoW would queue CS:GO to about 6 in the morning, play about 4 hours a night, and that started about January, February 2015. I played some like offline January 2015. That's when I first started playing CS:GO. So I installed it, and I had no idea what Counter Strike was. One of the people that played WoW was like, "You need to get this game." So when I first went on, I was like, "Oh, where are the iron sights? How do I scope? How do I like look at the iron sights with like this card?" Like when I say I didn't know what Counter Strike was. Like I had no idea at all. So.
I mean, especially if you kind of you look at FPS games like COD, then yeah, going straight into Counter Strike. Like even for me, like I came up with a COD 1, COD 2 background sort of thing. So when like Source was big to an extent, I started playing Source a little bit. I was just like, this game is so much different in comparison to any other FPS you're kind of used to at the time.
Yeah. I'd never heard of it. I had no idea what it was. Counter Strike, not a clue. So when I went on, I was completely clueless. So I had to learn everything from the ground up. So like some people, they played 1.6 and they come back to go like Stewie 2K, whatever. Like he played 1.6 for 1,000 hours. He played Surf, whatever. But when you come back to the game, you're going to be on 400 DPI. You're going to be on a decent sense. You're going to be doing matchmaking properly. Like I was playing gun games. I was playing offline with my friends. Like.
Gun games were sick at the time, man. They were fun to play.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like probably have like 1,000 hours.
Yeah, no, I get you. But so from that point, when was the first point that you started playing it and you started taking it seriously enough to the point where you were thinking about joining a team and kind of playing it at a competitive level?
When I was about God Over 2 or God Over 4.
You were like, this is it. This is my career, boys.
I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I was so into it. I had 159 hours the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When I started playing, like I fell in love with the game so much. Quit WoW. I just went full on Counter Strike. So yeah, I was just playing 10 MM games a day minimum, just spam playing, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. Fell in love with it straight away.
Cool. So I mean, obviously now you're primarily known as the AWP god that is Snodz. That is your primary weapon of choice. But was that something again? Because I mean, you see it with a lot of people. In fairness, that like, especially AWPing in particular, but that, like it's one of those that they just naturally started playing with it and they've just developed with it since, and they prefer that role, that weapon. Is that a similar thing for you, or have you like flirted around roles a fair amount and then you just kind of settled on it, or has it just always been AWP?
First time I loaded the game up, so like 2 years ago, I was like, oh, like where's the iron sights? It doesn't exist. So like I googled how to I googled how to buy or change guns, whatever. I remember. So I was like, okay, you press B, and I found the AWP, and I ran around killing bots in Dust 2 for like an hour straight. Like literally as soon as I opened the game, I like the AWP, and I've been primary AWP, never played anything else since.
That's cool. So, I mean, as we'll go through it, I mean, we'll touch on it because, I mean, you are one of the more intriguing people, shall we say, to kind of do this with just because of your variation in terms of playing and casting in terms of recently. So, we'll kind of go through each aspect. I'm going to try and do this in order as much as possible. There might be one or two kind of glitches in it, but, you know, we'll kind of go from there. So obviously that's how you said you kind of got into playing CS. So what was the first lineup for you that kind of formed that you were trying to, you know, playing regularly, playing scrims or any of that sort of thing? What was the first go-to for you?
Shout out to Dances.
Yeah.
So I was playing in ESEA. I was Supreme at the time. I was playing ESEA. Playing Overpass would have been early July, just as I turned 18, just as I turned 17, I think. I can't remember, or 18. Yeah, playing in ESCA on Overpass, and somebody started singing the song, and I knew what the song was, so I finished it off, and it was one of Dancy's like really close friends.
Yeah.
So basically, some guy in the game was like, "Oh, can you English people shut up, whatever?" So I was like, "Okay, do you guys have a TeamSpeak?" Went on TeamSpeak, and then yeah, met Dancy's and his other friend there, and then me, Dancy's formed a team basically, and I played with him for about a year straight.
I was gonna say, so I mean, obviously, like essentially your first LAN event, and this was like I had the same thing in fairness with like Pommy and Pickles when I've done theirs as well. It's like between the three of you, you haven't actually been to that many events in the grand scheme of things, right? Like, I mean, from what I've got down for you anyway, obviously you've had, like essentially maybe like well, yeah, there was two for UK, and then obviously recently with CPH for Team Endpoint, right? But yeah, I mean, how seriously are UK events, right? But
so that first one.
Yeah, no, I imagine you would have. Oh, right. So the second one, the one you played for me, cheers, mate. That's the one that. No. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But yeah, so the first, obviously, one that you kind of went into was the first Ionic lineup that you had. So obviously yourself, Dancy's, AJ, Solid, Brody C, good old Brody C.
That's the first proper, yeah. So we were like an MM team. Like we would play ESCA Open and stuff like that, and then like. What happened? One of the players quit. Yeah. Then when he quit, someone else quit. This was Weetam, another guy called Fish. This was the year. Oh my god, this was like last August or last November. Did they quit before I left England? I'm just trying to think. I'm not quite too sure because the time frame gets a bit muddled up. No, they did. So basically, we were teaming from July, August, playing MM, playing scrims, all that, till about October.
Yeah.
And then November, when they found out I was going away and moving abroad, they quit. And then when I came back, that's when I formed the team with Solid, AJ, and Dancers and all that.
Sure. So I mean, was that a team that you were kind of? Because I mean, especially when it's your first serious team, I guess you kind of look at it a bit differently to when you join teams after that. Because your first serious team, you're kind of like, yeah, let's make it work, boys. This is going to be the one. This is, you know, I mean, for some reason, the way you look at the team environment's a lot different to like. Yeah, I mean, once you've been in a team 2-3 times and you realise the wonders of what the UK CS scene is like, you kind of don't view it in the same way. But so obviously that your first event that you've kind of went into, which was an I series, was it not? Was it I-57?
Yeah, I-57.
Yeah,
I-57's first event.
So I mean, overall you play 7th to 8th. First event, it can't be too bad. I mean, I series again, most I-57s is at least like 60 odd teams there, if I'm not mistaken. So
there was a lot. That was the LAN where
was
we
that
had Infused, Pride, FM.
Oh, that was the Pride one. Okay.
Yeah, so that was really competitive.
Yeah, no, that I'm pretty sure there was like 82 teams around that mark, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was over 80. I remember them talking about it.
So yeah, I mean, you got into that. Obviously, got through group stages as always comfortably, and then you've hit the CEX lineup at the time as a kind of an initial one to go into. So obviously, Peggy, Rezu, Shiki, Cinder, Charlie, they were a good lineup, man. They were strong. So I mean, that's kind of a bit of an irritating game to kind of get first in like first knockout stage, I guess. So that kind of knocked you down into the lowers, in which you beat the Xenix lineup at the time. And in fairness, that wasn't the strongest Xenix lineup at the time. It was like their
Logan.
It was the Logan lineup. So I mean, you still had like obviously Jamie, Gizmo, you had Lifelike, ex uFrag player as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
And yeah, I think it was like Shaw, JBK as well. But like, yeah, they weren't obviously the strongest NX team. They were kind of more of their like. I mean, they all played it still really like a fair amount, but they weren't playing on the same kind of competitive level. So I mean, but that's still a decent win for you to get at that point. Then obviously you go into the Monumentalist one, which obviously, I mean, what the hell happened to that org? They kind of faded off pretty quickly, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh god.
Because they came out making a big announcement saying they were going to be like the next big cheese sort of thing, and then they just screwed over a few people, I think. And then, yeah. Anyway, that's before we digress. but that was the relatively decent lineup in fairness at the time for them. Like they weren't bad in terms of Bates,
They were
JD
good.
as
I
well.
remember.
Yeah,
They were
like
ESCA
I
main,
mean
like
they had
the
Philo
first.
as well. Philo at the time. So
Yeah. I remember that game. I trialed for them.
did you
They
actually?
offered me a spot. Oh god, they're gonna hate me when I say some of this. Shall I just go? Okay,
Go
I
for
could
it,
I
dude,
could
go
walk
for
you
it.
through the whole land, but we'll be here for hours if we do that. I remember everything clear as day. Like,
me.
yeah. So basically, to go digress a little bit, to go back a bit, like
Sure.
we had Brody C on the lineup instead of a guy called Taladan. So the
Okay.
lineup that went to I-57 as Ionic was me, Dances, AJ, Solid, and Taladan,
Okay.
which was Taladan, me, Dances played together for about a year. He was in my first team and all that.
Sure.
So yeah, like a week before LAN, we had Brody C and some absolutely immature, I can swear, right? Absolutely immature shit comes up. I kick him over the dumbest things you won't believe. I don't even want to go into it. It's so embarrassing.
This is the point where you now have to go into it, dude. You can't say that and then not do it.
We were playing a qualifier. We're playing a qualifier, like a cup.
Yeah.
And he asked Dances on Steam if like we were playing it, and
Sure.
Dances, like, we agreed to play it, but like he asked him like an hour before, and Dances didn't reply. So we joined an ESCA pug, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? I've
Yeah.
got this cup to play." And I was like, if you leave that game, because this is the thing, right? Brody C was like obsessed with stats.
Sure. A lot of players are, but yeah, I get you.
Like he'll reset, like, no offense, Brody, I love Brody, but like, yeah. So I was like, look, if you leave that pug, I'll buy you a stat reset. Like, obviously I wouldn't, because he's a retard for doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously I lied, and that's very bad. Whatever, I learned from it. But I was like, yeah, I'll buy you a stat reset.
I think I remember hearing about this at some point. You know, I genuinely do. I think I do remember it. But yeah, continue.
So he leaves, and he's absolutely livid. And then there's some other problems where he owed money to someone.
Right.
And he didn't. He said he wouldn't. He's such a different guy now. I'm so sorry for saying this, Brody. I love you, but basically he made it like an ultimatum. Like, if I don't, this is gonna sound so bad. If I don't reset his stats, he won't pay someone back for a flight.
I remember hearing that bit. That's
and
the
I
bit
was
I remember.
like, yeah, I can't have you on my team at this point. You gotta remember, he's like 15. Like I was like 17 or something. So we were stupid at that day. It's just unreal. So yeah, end up kicking Brody C, get Taladan back on the roster, go to LAN. Do well in groups, make it out. We get absolutely bummed by Infuse, like 16-4. That was like Mole, Surreal.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, we go straight into CEX, and we lose 16-8 on both maps. 16-9 on Mirage, and then 16-8 on Dust 2. I remember we lost both pistols on Mirage, so we had 9 like straight gun rounds. And after that game, like Shiki came over, spoke to me and the team, and he was impressed. And yeah, that's how like the latest stage
next lineup ended up happening. Yeah. I think I mean after that Monumentalist loss, I think you ended up losing to Perilous, which I mean that was a sick Perilous team at the time. Like obviously Jacob released PT Beta Vertigo, like that's solid as hell. So I mean, but so like summing it up in terms of your first LAN event, like how was it? Did you enjoy it? Was it still a good experience for you to do? I assume
it was amazing. It's still the best LAN I've ever had. It was unreal. No pressure, nothing at all. Going nothing to lose was amazing. But like the thing with Monumentalis, so I had the game of my life to knock them out. I had 34, 33 kills on Mirage, and we won. And the guy afterwards jokingly said, "Oh, how much would it cost for you to join my team?" And I was just like, "Whatever, yeah." And then like he wanted me to trial, so I tried for Monumentalis. So it's like me, Philo, Bates, a guy called Exact, and Seski. And then like it was going well. I was gonna play ACA main. I was gonna join. And then Shiki messaged me and was like, "Yo, me and Shane are building a team. Can you play at 8 p.m?" And I was just like, "No, I can't. We'll play tomorrow." He goes, "No, if you don't play at 8 p.m,
you're not playing at all.
Getting a chance." I remember. So he did the whole like bad boy sort of thing. Oh, you won't play now, you won't play. Do you know what I mean? It's not that big, but it worked. It worked. Let me tell you, it worked because I fake DC'd.
This stuff actually happens quite frequently though across a lot of people, right? Before like it's like because I know what people are like and they'll kind of see this and they'll probably try and single you out and be like, oh, what the fuck? But that sort of stuff does genuinely happen quite frequently when it comes to people trialing for teams before anyone gets on their high horse. But yeah, anyway,
I mean, people be playing scrims or on Smurfs because like.
They don't want their own team to know, but yeah, go on.
So, yeah, I faked DC in an Inferno match, and Yeah, I played with Shiki, and that's how it happened basically.
So I mean, what actually happened with that lineup then? Because I mean, even when that lineup was announced under Ionic, like it was still a good. I mean, obviously you kind of kept Dances along with you at that point. You had the Shiki Shaney duo, which obviously have been together for God knows how long at this point. Like so,
A long time.
yeah, exactly, man. And I mean, they're still doing it now, aren't they? So, but what was the? Because I mean, you didn't even go to any lands under that lineup, did you? And it would have been a good like roster to go to lands for, in my opinion. It would have been able to do reasonably well, but obviously I didn't know the inside scoop of what was necessarily going on with that team at the time. So why didn't it work out?
We lost 16 rounds in a row to uFrag on cash. So Prac was going pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then like Taladan like stopped caring about Counter-Strike basically, had exams to focus on, so
Sure.
he wasn't really too focused and not really asked about improving. So like Shiki got a bit tilted at us for not improving.
Shiki tilted? Who
That's,
knew? Yeah, I've never seen that one happen.
that's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Ultra Ego folded, and I remember joining TeamSpeak for Prac, and I saw Imi, Peggy. Oh, who else was it? Imi, Peggy. Who else joined that lineup?
What, the AYE one? It
Pow,
would have.
yeah.
Did Pow actually join?
No, Quiver.
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah, Quiver was Ultra Eager, but Pow was in that TeamSpeak.
Yeah.
So it was like Imi, Pow, Peggy, and I was just like, yeah, lads. Like, I remember typing to Dance's team. I was like, yeah, we're kicked. What's next? So
yeah.
kick me, so Shaney could AWP. Fair enough. Dancey stayed because of a fifth who I can't remember. A fifth I can't remember,
Sure.
couldn't play anymore, so that's why they got Dancy's. No, Power replaced me to AWP, sorry, so Shaney was still rifling. And then yeah, Dancy's joined after the fifth. Maybe it was Peggy. No, it wasn't Peggy. I can't remember. He had to go. So yeah, then that Ionic lineup became Rise, and that was Shiki, Shaney. That was Dancy's, Imi,
yeah,
JT.
Yeah, I think JT was in that Rise lineup actually.
Yeah, that was
I think I remember him with a Rise jersey at LAN. I think that's the only reason I'm kind of remembering it.
It was. So yeah, that was the lineup, and then I went coasting for a month, didn't play for 3 weeks. Yeah, didn't really touch my PC that much. Was good, like had my real life going well, but like Counter-Strike life going bad. You know what I mean? One of those ones. Came back to CS, played a bit, and then I went to Cologne, an Epic LAN, and at Epic LAN and Cologne, I networked with Adam and Flakes. So that's how casting happened. That's how uFrag happened, basically.
2-in-1, basically. So I mean, yeah, at that time, I mean, I guess like once we kind of progress a bit forward, but I mean, say like we'll go over the uFrag roster and that lineup and that event in a sec. But obviously, like even after that, there was like a decent amount of time before, like say, like not playing in a team essentially, right? Because obviously you jumped from that event after uFrag and then leaving that, and then it was just casting was kind of the first like focus of that. But we'll get onto that. But yeah, the uFrag scenario. So that was an interesting one, even from my perspective.
From
I
your
guess.
how
like
did it happen?
yeah, like what in terms of how did the team come around, or like?
Well, for me, we were drunk at Cologne, playing some card game called Bullshit. A card game called Bullshit.
Sure.
And we were pissed. I was just like, Adam, mate, like, would you play with me? And he was like, yeah. I can't do his voice.
I was gonna say if that was an attempt at a scout.
Yeah.
Yeah, late mate.
Not asked, something like that, but
yeah.
did that. So came back, added him on Steam, and we started speaking. And then obviously, I don't know how it happened from your end. But,
yeah, from my end, I mean, it was a bit of a weird one at that point in terms of where the roster was, because we couldn't really get it to kind of where we were. Obviously, SEO was kind of playing for us, and the problem with SEO at that time was that it was always like he was essentially only mixing. It was only for the fact of like he knew there was going to be a new IMI lineup coming at some point, so it was just waiting until that problem happened. And Jakey was technically in the same scenario in terms of at least getting a trial for any future IMI team that comes around the corner. So then obviously you've got Hype and Adam, which obviously the dynamic duo at that point. So I mean, even going into it, I guess it wasn't one. I mean, I think that was actually the lowest placement we had at an event from a CS team perspective.
No,
so
it
yeah,
was awful, I remember.
but yeah, I mean, the whole thing was just a shambles, man. Like it was, I wouldn't even say a shambles. It was like I don't think nothing went our way at all. It was just stress from the outset, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I remember it. Mirage 16-14 we lost.
Yeah.
What is it? Mirage 16-14 we lost, and that was versus Genko
Yeah,
Dancers.
the
That
enemies
lot.
in disbelief. Yeah.
Got a cough, my bad.
That's right.
Yeah, lost to them on Mirage, and that was the best of one as
Yeah.
the first round matchup.
So then we went down. Yeah.
And then we played versus Bulldog with Lazza, and that's when Waffle and Lazza banked us on cash. I remember. Lazza kept killing Jake.
It was just, yeah. I mean, being honest, it was a weird one because I think even at the time,
Love you,
like.
Jake.
Hype, obviously, as much as I love that kid, but his communication's always been a bit of an issue in those scenarios. So obviously, especially when you start losing, he's one that kind of takes it to heart a little bit. Adam being Adam in that sort of environment, and I mean, I want to touch on that a little bit actually later in terms of like comparisons between, say, like Adam and Imi in terms of similarities in a way as well. But yeah, you've got Adam like that in a way, and then obviously Ben. Like I thought SEO actually played reasonably well throughout that. In fairness to him, he's probably the more consistent guy. You were actually doing reasonably well, like you were putting off some 6 shots, but I think that I mean you were still doing well, but I think obviously the overall team dynamic was just shit. It just didn't work out for one reason or another. Jakey, as much as Jakey's a sound guy, but he didn't exactly have the best of lands that land. We
had a good joke about it afterwards. So
yeah.
It's all good.
But yeah, I mean, even after that, I mean, we went back to the hotel and we ended up staying up for a fair amount and just having a chat.
Time.
Yeah, it was still a relatively decent one. So yeah, I mean, that event was
awful.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but I mean, it was still good from a social point of view. But you know, other than that,
like
the
I remember.
performance-wise.
Like we're only playing as a mix, so like the calls, like this is the thing when you speak with Adam, like I've only played with Adam when he doesn't really give a not give a shit. But
yeah,
like,
I mean that whole it wasn't. I mean because
like,
it was more of a mixed environment.
Like, I wasn't putting my 150% into that team.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was at that point.
Because it was like, oh, we're gonna fold. If you're an IGL and you have to build up structure and build up everything for the base, like and you know you're folding after 3 weeks, you think you're gonna put your hardest in. So that's the thing. Whenever people ask me about Adam, like I can't give them the answer because ask Dom. Do you know what I mean? Ask Hype. So
the team dynamic at the time, because it is a mix, is not going to be taken as seriously. That sort of. But yeah, I mean, it was inevitable. But thanks for that lowest placement that I've got on the uFrag record, mate. It's appreciated.
Do you want to speak about the Adam and Hype and all that?
What, in terms of what your thoughts were on them, or?
I mean, you were going to ask me about it, so.
I mean, I was going to go into get into it a bit, but I was going to touch on the endpoint stuff and then kind of make the comparisons from that to an extent. But yeah, we can still kind of go over it a little bit now in terms of like you kind of just said, it was a mix, that kind of environment.
Yeah.
So
it's
just difficult to judge no matter what.
Yeah,
because I mean, Hype knew it as a mix. Obviously, SEO and Jakey are kind of looking as to what's going to happen next for them. So it wasn't as if anyone's in that like team complete winning mentality sort of thing going into an event.
We did want to win, but yeah, I can see
yeah, but you know what I mean, I don't think, like you said, as much as everyone was putting the effort in, but that like extra 10% that you kind of get in other scenarios probably wasn't there. But yeah, I mean, at that point, obviously after that event is when, like you said, you touched on like started speaking to Flakes a little bit before that, after with the Cologne event. So that's kind of how you started networking your way into casting. So was casting something that, like, before you spoke to Ryan and things like that, something that you had considered, or was it just primary focus on playing at that point?
So I was playing a Face It with Logan Nicewalk.
Yeah.
And randomly, like as a joke, I start casting him in a 1v2.
Sure.
And then he was like, "Oh, like you actually could be good at this. Like I used to do blah blah blah. Like I have connections. Like you could be good at this." And I just didn't take it serious, whatever. Yeah. And then like I was in a scenario where I had money because I'd worked before in America, so like I had money saved, but like I wasn't making any money, and I wasn't in a position where money was going to be here in a year's time. If you know what I mean.
Sure. Like
you can have money, thousands at the bank, but if you're not in a position where you're going to have money rolling in within a year, then you can't. Yeah. So I was thinking a year ahead, basically. And I was like, shit, like, what can I do in a year's time where I could be making money? And I was like, I could cast. So, I was completely pissed at a bar in Cologne. Me, Adam Jazz, Duck CSGO, shout out to Duck. And Flakes.
Yeah.
So I met him completely pissed drunk in a club called Meltdown, bar called Meltdown. So Yeah. And then yeah, we were just pissed, and I was like, oh, people say I should do casting. He was like, yeah, okay. You know how Flakes is. I was like, yeah, you should try it. So yeah, like massive shout out to Flakes. So basically, I was in a pretty shit position, like how I was in life, you know. So
Sure.
not life, it's so deep, but like
Yeah, I was gonna say that took it down its own.
financial position. Like Flakes did get me out of some deep shit. So
I mean,
shout out to Flakes.
I had that conversation in fairness with Flakes and in his scenario as well, and Jackie earlier on today as well, in terms of like that initial networking phase that you start off with, in terms of getting that connection or two of people that are in that format that can help you out. And so like everyone's got that story of that one person that initially helped them out get involved in casting or playing or whatever it necessarily is. So I mean, networking is everything, and obviously Ryan is very, very nice guy.
Very nice guy.
No, he is literally one of the nicest dudes ever. But that being said, the one thing that Jackie touched on earlier was, obviously we kind of spoke about it a little bit, was the
what did you say?
well, no, so what it was I was speaking about downtime, like, and obviously UK broadcasts, there's quite a lot of downtime in terms of like production side of it, like whether it be people can't connect to a server, there's a delay for one reason or another, right? So I was asking him in terms of like how he handles downtime, like in terms of the conversation, keeping it going and things like that. And he was like, well, Jackie was like, he just comes out of random shit essentially, sort of thing, right? And he was like, he can do it to you and you kind of like laugh and you can get along with it, sort of thing, but he does it to Ryan and Ryan just gets a bit stumbled and doesn't necessarily know what to like say in return, because
Ryan, yeah, he's the nicest guy, and he's like,
Jackie said he was a robot, like
no, like he does want to he wants it to be very professional.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's what I said. In terms of all the time that I've met Ryan and seen him casting, like he's always very, very serious and on the ball, and you know what I mean. So you've got to give him mass credit for that. But it was just the way that Jackie said it. But yeah, obviously we'll crack on to kind of the various amounts of casting and whatnot. So what was your first casting games? Was UK Masters, was it not?
Yeah, so I did an Epic. Oh God, Epic Land. So I did an Epic Land.
I remember seeing you just plastered.
Yeah, so I got. Jackie. This is the first time I met Jackie. So, Jackie paid for my ticket for Epic Land, and I didn't know this, right? I thought I got a free ticket from casting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out I got the ticket from Jackie. But I didn't find it on land, so I thought I was going to cast, like only cast and play, but like focus on casting because I got my ticket for that. But yeah, when I was there, I found out Jackie paid for it. So Gums is like, oh, like Snodz, you should be casting right now. And I was like, oh, I've got intermediate to play because we're new.
Sure.
He was like, oh, but you should really be casting right now. So we play J, blah 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 blah. And then I went over to the guys. I was like, look, like they paid for my ticket. Like I might get cast. Like you can get the standard. There was someone else that wanted to play, and Jackie was like, no, I paid for your ticket. I was like, what?
This is news
I went
to
over
me.
to Gumster, and I was just like, look, mate, I'm here to play. Sorry. So, shout out to Gumster, obviously. But yeah, I casted 2 maps before I got pissed and said some very bad stuff on stream.
Yeah, I remember. It was entertaining. But
It's what it is.
Yeah, in fairness,
I remember like I was so drunk, so I went for a piss. And I'm waddling back, and Misty comes up. It's like, Snodz, you'd be so funny right now on stream if you're drunk. And I was like, I'm gonna say some bad shit.
Misty's
like,
fault for
drunk.
fuck's
And he's
sake.
like, no, it'd be funny. So Blanks is pissed. I'm pissed, and I'm saying awful things on stream. Which is funny. Like a lot of people find it funny, but like obviously shouldn't be saying it. But I was completely pissed. I didn't care as well. I couldn't care less. And the owner of Epic Land walks in. He's like, turn off the stream. I didn't know who he was as well. He's like, turn off the stream. Like these little Epic Land.
I got told the story.
Yeah. And he's like, turn off the stream. And I looked at him, and I was just like, I didn't know who he was. So I was just like, I look back at Blanks. I'm like, when the teacher walks in, you're in shit, but you just don't care. And I looked at him like that, and he went, get out. I started laughing and I wandered out. Still don't know to this day what his name is, but apologies to Epic Land for that. That was bad, but
I mean, as much as like obviously it's not ideal, but on the plus side, as much
I was
as I
there
love,
for free, and I was told to. So like I wasn't told, but like we were both pissed. So like we both started saying dumb shit, and then I escalated. Like shit happens. Like, I wouldn't do it even if I was pissed out. I wouldn't do the same. Like you gotta learn, and like
I feel like there's going to be a lot of this throughout the whole thing. Is learn from your mistakes, boys. Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, like it's true though. It is true.
No, it is. I fully agree, dude. So yeah, obviously casting UK Masters,
That's
like
2 maps. That was it. First ever
yeah.
2 maps. So then,
But obviously that's a studio environment as well, isn't it? So
this
obviously
is the
that's a
thing. So
nice
like,
thing to go into firstly, I guess. But
well, for me it was, but
or more nervy, but
so I'd never casted before. I did Epic Lana. It wasn't serious. So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm there, no camera on me with Switchblade J.
Yeah,
Switchblade J. And yeah, I just having a laugh, like shouting, screaming, blah blah blah. And then yeah, so somehow I'd already got the UK Master spot during that. So go to UK Masters, never casted properly before, never casted anything. I've casted play by play, not take it seriously, just play J, having a laugh, like and yeah, microphones on, camera, lights, producer in my ear, like I'd never done anything, and it was just like that. And don't know, as soon as the camera went red, like I had no nerves, nothing, and don't want to be egotistical, but like it was very natural for me, to be
no,
honest.
it was, and I think that's obviously the one very good thing with yourself, and I think this is like what draws me to the question is a lot of people that watch CS, a lot of the times feel like casters that have had like experience playing the game have a better understanding and deeper analysis of the game, so they kind of feel that those like ex-pros or people that still play the game at a reasonably high level have a better knowledge of the game as in comparison to those that don't. And I think you're one of those people that kind of lives up to that a little bit in terms of the analysis that you kind of provide when you are on a desk. Because of there's like I find it difficult to explain, but because of you've played and been in those situations a lot, then obviously you find it easier to explain the thought process of what someone's going to be doing in any given situation and things like that, more so than other certain people. But like after that happened for UK Masters, like even in the short time that you'd already been casting, would you say that like, or even now, that being said, would you say that you've improved a lot as time went on, or was it like, is it something you've actually put a lot of time into like practicing, or is it something that's just been natural to you essentially?
I did one practice cast in my life, and that was with Wee Freeman.
Yeah.
Shout
out Wee Freeman.
Shout out Wee Freeman. That, oh god, I took his spot for UK Masters. That's how I got it. Yeah, god. Hi. So
scumbag.
Yeah, I told him, and he was like, yeah, I understand, because I lived. No, he lived close. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't say no.
No. I remember. It was because John Kelly, massive shout out to John Kelly. He wanted a player and not another caster. He wanted a player to do casting, so I was like, that fit. Anyway, so only practice casted once in my life, and that was before EPS and one map, Cobblestone, Gambit versus VP. So that is the only thing I've ever practiced. Apart from that, like, this is the thing. The only reason I was able to do that and improve was because of Flakes. Like, if it wasn't for Flakes, I would have. Maybe I'm still a shit caster, but I would have been even shitter if it wasn't for Flakes. So shout out to Ryan Oliver at Flakes TV. But oh dear. But yeah, like after every cast, he would critique me. But if I'm talking about a scenario or a story or whatever, like, you have to carry it on.
Yeah.
And he would like fix me with my pauses. He would fix me with how I would say things, what I would say, tone, how fast I speak, everything. Like, because he'd done the style of the stuff, he had people critique him, so he knows what's best, and he helped me so much.
Yeah, I think even when I spoke to Ryan, he turned around and said that like the initial star ladder, like one that he'd done was like, it was like he hated his performance in that, and it kind of like things went wrong and things like that. But it was like the overall feedback that he got from everyone at the event helped him a lot in terms of like progression for him, sort of thing. So I think the same thing for when newer casters, and I think that's what needs to happen, right? Is that people need to kind of pass on their knowledge to newer people that come into it. But obviously, shortly after you like started that like casting with UK Masters and everything, obviously you've done the CIS minors, which was with Flakes as well. So I mean, how is it casting that in terms of like, obviously it's completely different teams at that point, and because of obviously it was just like the qualifiers coming, if it wasn't mistaken, was that the one that you got like it was 2 spots for like the main qualifier, wasn't it?
We did the minor, so
yeah,
the minor for the major qualifier, so it was
Star
Ladder,
like Rox,
it was Star Ladder
and shit.
Vega Squadron, but yeah, like, I'd been casting for 2 weeks. And it was easy because I was doing UK stuff, so I knew the players.
That's what I was about to say, though, is obviously the transition from then
and
going
these
to
Russians,
teams.
like,
exactly.
I hadn't had a clue. funny thing is, like, I was scrimming them today, the people that I was casting at the
Oh,
minor.
really?
Yeah. But it's like casting for 2 weeks, have these Russians, and we found out we had like 3 days to prepare. And we were at UK Masters casting,
Yeah.
so we found out on the Wednesday or the Tuesday, whatever it was, that it would be doing the CS minor. So we had 3 days in our hotel room to prepare, and yeah, it was just like going on HTV. Someone did like an English viewer guide for the CS minor.
Sure.
We copied everything from that. So shout out to that guy. And yeah, like I had to buy a £100 microphone, which I've got right here. A Yeti microphone. I had to buy that for the cast, and yeah, did that. And that was when I realized how much money was in casting as well, because I casted for 2 weeks, and I was being paid £50 a map. So if we did 10 maps, so 500 quid for 8 hours work or 9 hours work, whatever it was. It's like, oh,
you can't complain at that, can you?
Yeah, that's like.
Well, I mean,
it was just so.
I mean, I've had that conversation with you once or twice in the past in terms of like, kind
How
of,
much money
yeah,
I
well,
get,
yeah, just in terms of like seeing what you're up to at that point, you know what I mean, and what's going on with team wise, and like you've even said yourself, it's for the amount of hours that you put into casting and the amount of money you make out of it, it's difficult not to not do it. That like
Yeah,
that sort
it was
of.
so easy for me, like, because like casting was so natural that it was like, I would do whatever the fuck I wanted during the week, get on a train, spend the 2 days with my mate. Me and Ryan are really close friends, so like, there's a gym there. We used to go to the gym. I know I don't look like it, but we would go to the gym. Would go out. Like this is the thing. Like there was we stayed at Leisure Park, so there was a steakhouse, 24/7 Mackey's, which ruined us, and
So all that gym work got knocked out by all this food, yeah.
Oh no, the gym came later on that season. But 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, so like go there on the Wednesday, cast some games for 4 hours, go back, have a Mackey's, chill with John Kelly and the producer, Jake, really nice guys, and Flakes, have a chill time, go to bed, wake up at 2 p.m, have a steak, go to watch a film, like watch Arrival, watch some Marvel film, Doctor Strange, we watched it, like loads of, like every week, it was just so good, and it was just, yeah, like £2.5 a month, living the dream, it was so easy, so, yeah,
Can't
I
complain.
couldn't complain, but it wasn't my passion. Like,
yeah,
I play for free now, and it's like I still wouldn't turn down. Like,
you play for free now? Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah.
Anyway, for the past 2 months, I've been playing for free.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I've had casting offers come in and I've turned them all down. Like, some of the money, I don't know how much I can say, but like, we're talking 4 figures a week is how much I could have been making in a few months' time if I'd accepted some of these offers, but I turned it down for Endpoint. So.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I mean, that's where I've kind of got a lot of respect for you in that way, is because at the end of the day, there's still something that. Yeah, I mean, money's not everything, right? Like, as much as money's great, but at the same point, like, you can have a lot of money and you can be doing something that just makes you miserable, or the fact that you know you could be doing something else that it makes you a lot happier doing it, right? So obviously you've made that decision to continue playing, and obviously there might be some financial benefits to kind of doing it, like, but not in nowhere near the same level as what you could potentially get from casting, right?
So this is how I explained it to my parents recently.
Well, I mean, that must have been an interesting conversation as well. So yeah.
So my dad was like, I told him I was playing, right? So it's like, my dad's like, so when you working again, by the way? And I was like, I'm not. I'm playing, and my parents like, what do you mean you're playing? I was like, I've got an apprenticeship. Like, that's the only way I could explain it. It's true though, you know. Like, I had an apprenticeship.
No, in terms of it's a trial.
Like, it was literally the only way because my dad is 68.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm 19.
The whole esports phenomenon, trying to explain it, and.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So I couldn't explain it to my dad. He didn't understand. So yeah, I was like, I'm doing an apprenticeship. Like, I won't be making much money, but it can lead into something great a year down, 2 years down. But yeah, so like, it was very hard to explain to my parents, but it's an easy decision for me, where it's like, yeah, even 5K a month, I don't even want to go back. So like, I'd rather play for 10% of that You see what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, that's what I kind of respect a lot. Is that at the end of the day, the way I kind of view that as a lot is that there's a lot of. I mean, I've had this conversation with a few people that I've done this like series with as well. In terms of, there's a lot of people out there that say they want to make it and they want to do really well in Counter Strike, and everyone sees it that they don't put nowhere near the amount of effort in that they should if they really have that mentality, right? So obviously, by you making a decision like that, like to me, that kind of reaffirms the fact that you are genuinely dedicated to try and make it and be as good as you possibly can, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you know, I mean, in a lot of other people's scenarios, like they're playing CS and they might not necessarily have things that can bring them that amount of income like that quickly, sort of thing, in
It's
comparison.
crazy. It's crazy money.
Especially considering your age as well. Like for me, even like I'm fucking like 24, dude, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, that money would be nice, you know what I mean?
I can't give names, but like casters at the tier 2 level, like
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got some.
I can't
yeah.
give names, but like they're 19 or 20 and they've got 30k in the bank.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. Is I've been told certain figures from certain
Like
people.
I made like this is the thing. I wouldn't have been able to play if it wasn't casting. Like I've still got money saved,
Sure.
but it's like I casted for 4 months and towards 2 months. Let me have a think. I was doing EPS plus UK Masters, which was over £2,000 a month. When you include like they pay for travel,
Sure.
ESL pay for food, so like I'm not paying my expenses, I'm getting it all back. So, and I'm not paying for rent as well because I'm living with my parents. I'm only 19, so yeah, a lot of casters that I was friends with or casting with, let's just say they have bank.
They have bank. I was about to say the same thing, yeah. But yeah, we'll slightly move on from the financial side of casting before everyone jumps on that bandwagon soon enough once they hear
Oh yeah,
this,
a lot of people
but
are gonna
yeah.
be pissed off with me about that.
No, but like I said, at the end of the day, like it's not all about money, is it? You've made a decision of what's something that makes you happy and that you're happier doing, so fuck it. But yeah, so I mean, kind of just touching back on the CIS minor a little bit, like were you surprised when you were watching like the quality of CS over there, like in terms of what you're used to? Was there any surprises in particular? Did you think it was a good standard in comparison to like UK CS and stuff that you'd seen before?
It was super easy because it was just like I go on HOTV and I see that the lineup's been together for 4 months, 6 months,
Sure.
a year, and like Endpoint, I've only been in the team for 2 months, and it wasn't until very, very recently that like we actually start playing as a team now.
Sure.
Like you can't expect results instantly. Like so many teams fold after the 2-month mark, and I mean I'm sure like I could talk for hours on what the UK scene needs on that. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a second, but yeah, the level of Counter Strike they showed was individually. I was like, these people aren't even that good. Like they're the same level as we are, but experience, play together.
Yeah, you know what? Like I've maintained this kind of premise for a lot of the time is that there's certain teams that I've seen do well in the past that individually they're nowhere near the same standards as what you get in certain other teams, but because of they actually play as a team and their communication with each other is really, really good, in theory they do better than what a lot of people are expecting them to, solely because of their team, like the teamwork that they have is just to that level,
sure.
Right? Which then just obviously does go to the point of how important that sort of thing is. And I think UK teams especially do, like you've kind of said, is you get to that 2-month mark and a lot of teams do fold at that point, or they fall out of stupid issues, and what a lot of teams kind of fold out for as well, right? Like I mean, kind of touched on it already in terms of like the things that people do, like obviously pretending you're offline and playing another game of DCing and things like that, but that it doesn't
That's
happen.
That happened fairly recently with like
I think I know
top
who you're
UK
regarding.
team. Yeah, like that happened recently, like a few months ago. Like it happens at the top level of the UK scene as well. Like
it's not just a lower tier sort of thing.
Even today, we're scrimming versus people that are on Smurfs. You can't like.
Yeah, you can never tell.
Well, that was very different. Like when we're playing versus professional teams in scrims, they're playing on Smurfs because they're contracted.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So they're allowed to play.
Yeah.
But they don't want it to go public.
Yeah, because of
they are allowed to play because they're not representing another organisation. They're just playing practice. Whereas with like the UK stuff, it's just like pretty snaky. So.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Still on the casting side, I guess we haven't got too much more to cover on that. But ESL Prem, so obviously you've done that for a fair amount, and you've done the ESL Prem finals. Would you say there's much difference between doing UK Masters and doing ESL?
Oh God, I don't want to say anything if there's John Kiloby at my door. Let's have a think. UK Masters was very laid back. It's
Yeah,
like
I think Jackie said that same thing. It was
your
a bit
friend,
more
like your
casual,
neighbor,
yeah.
like your friendly casters, your friendly like broadcasts, and it was fun. It was enjoyable. Very good for like getting into casting.
Sure.
And but like when I was there, I believe they have it now. But when I was there, they didn't have like a production script.
Yeah.
So like I sat down for EPS, and Sam, the producer, so handed me this thing, and I was just like,
What
is
is
this?
this?
It was like machine interest here, blah blah blah, here, like casters come here, talk about this for 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Like I was like, holy shit, like I'm not even ready for this. So I was actually a little bit nervous because of that. But yeah, it went very smoothly. So
I mean, you just said it a little bit there, but obviously, like ESL Prem finals, obviously you had say like Machine there, and I think you had like, was it who's the host? Is
Adam Savage.
That's the one. But yeah, I mean, so how was that as an experience? I mean, obviously that's going to be the first time that you're kind of working in that sort of environment, and with a desk host and Machine of all people, who's obviously an absolute hero at the moment.
Yeah, after the cast was over, like he came up to me and was like, yeah, I think you're talented at casting, like I think you have something. And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, because I'm joining Endpoint. And he's like, yeah, like soon like they're gonna need other casters to do these events. I was just like, for fuck's sake,
Time is a bitch, right?
And he's just like, yeah, and I was just like, yeah, by the way, we had already beat, that was like the week we beat the Flips.
Yeah, okay.
So we were like the heroes, you know, in England at that time. But yeah, and he was like, yeah, but I think you should cast and play like here and there. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like I probably should, like
if you can. But the thing is obviously playing is that main priority, right? And it's like,
I mean,
based upon the last 2 weeks,
the prac we do,
yeah,
like we couldn't do this because I had so much practice, basically.
That's what I was literally about to say. That it's based upon the last 2 weeks of how difficult it has been for me and you to arrange a time just to do this. Then yeah, exactly, right. So how difficult is it for you to go, like, especially studio casts and things like that, right? It's not an easy way to kind of plan ahead for, I guess. So yeah, obviously you had that. So I mean, overall, I mean, is casting still an option for you then? Like, I mean, like we've just basically said a little bit, but are you still going to potentially look at being involved in it in some way, shape, or form? But
later on, yeah, not now.
But don't you think that? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's kind of like, in terms of, not, I don't mean it contingency, because of, but at the end of the day, you have that there in terms of, like, even if it doesn't work out of Endpoint, and obviously, hopefully, it does, like, genuinely, but at least you've kind of got that as a fallback option if things don't work out, right? So you're still in a relatively good position for yourself overall.
I don't want to cast again. This is the problem, right? Say tomorrow I was kicked from Endpoint. I was kicked from Endpoint. Like, I would have to go cast, but like,
you'd still try and focus on getting another team.
No, I wouldn't. I'd go cast. Yeah, but the problem is, it's like I'm 19. The youngest caster at the tier 1 level is 25, 26, and that's Sadakist, I believe. Everyone else is 27 plus. And it's life experience. Like, they're entertaining. They have life experience. They've traveled. They've been through shit. Like, I was trying to explain this to Hugo and Harry, and I was like, you guys are trying so hard. You're young. Like, you're great. You're really good casters. But it's like, you know, calm down a little bit. You guys are doing. You guys are killing it. You're killing it at the moment. But like, get some years under your belt. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when you put James Bart, he doesn't know that much about Counter-Strike, but like, he's entertaining. That's what you do. This is the thing I had with Flakes. Like, Flakes helped me tremendously cast, but I helped Flakes a little bit because I was like, look, mate, at the end of the day, we're selling entertainment.
Yeah.
They're paying us to be entertaining. Do you know? Like, I'd had to tell him that. But it's true. Like, if I'm at 19, if I was going to cast again, I wouldn't be at my potential. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to cast when 25, 27.
Sure.
So
once you, like you said, I think at the end of the day, you become more, and you've experienced more, whether it be within CS, whether it be just like generally in life, right? Like, again, like, so like CS Summit, right? You've got these, like, the people casting everything, but they've also experienced that they can fill it with stories, they can fill it with entertainment like that, right? Which obviously, if you're younger, you don't necessarily have as much of that. You
couldn't put like 19, 20-year-olds in that situation and expect the same level of banter.
Completely agree, yeah.
So yeah, for me, I want to cast when I'm 27, 28. I want to play,
when you're an old
cast, and run my own. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
See how it goes, mate.
But I just want to play. I just want to play. It's all I care about at the moment.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, we'll kind of go back onto the playing side of it a bit then. So obviously, like the way that this time frame has worked out, then I guess, like we said, after the uFrag, so the I-58 event, kind of essentially took a break. Casting was the foremost focus of yourself, and then obviously the Endpoint scenario came around. So I mean, you were trialing for Endpoint for a reasonable amount of time, were you not?
When?
Like what? I'm trying to think of the specific dates of this because I remember when I asked you about something and you were like, "Oh, I've been trialing with Endpoint, didn't you know?" And I was like, "Fuck, I completely forgot." And by that point, I think you'd been trialing with them for like maybe a couple of weeks at that point. So I don't know how long the whole duration of the trial was essentially.
Right, I joined Endpoint. No, first time I played, I can actually find the day.
I mean, how did that opportunity even come about in the first place for you to?
Yeah,
to
a lot of people have been asking me about that. I'll tell you. Recently, I had a player who's at top of the scene, been around for years, and he was like, I spoke to him on TeamSpeak for an hour. He was just like, look, how do I progress in the scene? Like,
Sure.
I'm good. I've been here for years. I've got experience. I'm playing in a top team. But like, how did you make it up that next level? You know, because you've got the FM endpoints, and then you've got like Imperial,
Yeah.
This is obviously they beat us. You know, shout out to Jake who played sick. But yeah, they beat us, fair enough. But you can see what I mean.
Yeah.
And it was like, how did you get that next level up? And like, I had to speak to him for an hour about it. Like, a lot of people, he's not the first. Like, a lot of people messaged me like, how can you go from casting to playing on a professional team?
Sure.
So yeah.
So how did it? What is the answer?
Ian, Imi DM'd me, and he was just like, yeah.
Wagwan's nuts.
So there was a little bit for it. So basically, he was interested in me because Adam XO said good things about me to Imi.
Yeah.
And he was thinking of like Shaney, me, Lars was on the radar at the time.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, like whatever. So he added me on Steam, and we played some MMs. We were talking, and I was gonna get a trial, like Dancy's, like other people were gonna get trials.
I mean, I know a lot of people were.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I was one of those people. Do you know what I mean? Like a list of so many. And then we played shit at LAN, and Lazar and Wathu banged us. So yeah,
priority.
Yeah, like fair play. Like you play better. Like he went over. I remember he was watching Jakey and Ben and watching me. There's a round where he killed me mid, he killed Ben mid, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna go watch Lazar play. He watched Lazar play and was far more impressed with him than it was me. So he went and picked Lazar up.
Yeah, I mean, I remember speaking to you at the hotel about it because I think you were even saying, obviously, I mean, it was weird. Technically, like 3/5 of that lineup were all potentially hoping to get into that new IMI roster, right? Like that's literally the way it was at the time.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
but it was like this. I'm gonna try real quick. So recently, he told me this. So I was on the radar back then.
Yeah.
And then he came home from the LAN. Spoke to Max on TeamSpeak. He was like, "Yeah, sat behind Snodz, he's shit. Never gonna play with him in my life." Honestly, he said that. He said, "I'm never playing with." He said, "I'm never playing with Snodz." So yeah, I was in the doghouse, but
he's clawed his way back in, mate. He's fought.
So
for it.
like yeah, so the whole Endpoint thing. So that happens, and then I started casting, and then Emi messages me on Twitter. And he's like, "Hey, like I enjoy your casting. I think you're one of the best in the UK right now, and I actually think you'd be a good player." And I was just like, "Oh, cool.
Thanks,
whatever."
buddy.
And at the time, like this might sound weird, but I didn't want to cast. I wanted to play. So I would have 80 hours in the past 2 weeks, but I was home 4 days a week or 4.5 days a week because I travel.
Sure.
But I would literally play 10 hours a day. I was still DMing my 3. Like if people know me personally, they know I do a lot of deathmatch.
Yeah.
So I'll do the 3 hours of deathmatch. I'd pug all day. But I was watching. Okay. Okay. This is something else. If we're here, what time is it now? Like we're gonna be here for a while.
Yeah, we've got another hour or so.
If people, yeah, we could. If people want to message, like a lot of people ask me how to improve, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to touch on this, but yeah, go for it.
Like, but anyway, so I was watching demos. So like, do I? 1 second.
What is he doing? Alex Snodz at Byfield, ladies and gentlemen.
So this is an example of something, right? So here I've got. This is literally on this piece of paper right here.
Yeah.
So this is what I'd do. I'd watch demos and I'd write notes. So I have a folder over there, but I'm not gonna bring it here. But like, this is the example, right? So Cobblestone. This is the 15th of the 2nd, so 15th of February, basically. And this was when I was doing this beforehand, so I've got stuff back there from the end of last year, like around November, December, like January, that time when I was casting. But I'd watch demos, but I wouldn't just watch a demo. Like anyone, like this is the thing, right? People say they watch pub demos on YouTube and all that shit, but that's not the same.
Yeah, no, it's completely different
Like,
to
I would go in
analytical.
Like I'm watching the demo and I'm writing stuff down. Like this is the thing. Like I'm not writing just what I'm doing. Like I was writing the whole thing. So it's like I've pissed around. I've pissed around here. I have anti. This is for playing A side. I play A. Anti-eco, but it's like it's me and my partner.
Yeah.
I've got buy rounds, but it's me and my partner. I've got setups where we bait setups. I've got double long setups. I've got alley counter setups. But like I write them down, and this is what separates me from other people, if you see what I mean. It's like you can watch a pub demo on YouTube, but you're not going to improve that way.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's something that I spoke to a lot of people about, whether it be like on this kind of series or not, right? In terms of, firstly, efficiency of practice is one thing, because at the end of the day, you can be putting a lot of hours into it, but if it's not an efficient way of doing it, then you could be wasting a lot of fucking time, which a lot of people genuinely do.
This is the thing. I have 4,000 hours I just have 4,000 hours because I have 300 hours casting, whatever. So it's like 4,000 dead on. But it's like, love Pommy, but it's like Pommy has like what, 5k hours.
Well, yeah, that was the comparison.
Oh no, this is the example I was gonna make. This is the example I was gonna make, right? Hype. You asked me about hype, and I was gonna make this point. I wanted to bring up later. So we were 13-7 up versus FM on Cash online for the EPS qualifiers. Probably remember it. And we lost.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
We lost B over and over again.
When Hype like, always playing solo B at that point, like
he wasn't playing solo B. We were playing 2B, but
I know if he was AWPing,
we're playing 3 mid. Yeah. Because obviously they used to send Fry 1 and Stanley for boost, so we played 3 mid. But yeah, Hype sick, but it's like he kept losing B, and I was like, look, mate, like let's improve. You know, I was like, look, I'm gonna go over the demo. I'm gonna go over the demo with you, and then we're gonna watch a pro demo together. And he went, nah, I'm gonna go watch vlogs.
But that's the point where it's just head in hands, and it's just like, oh.
And I was just like, yeah, like Hype individually is so good, but if you're not, like, this is the thing. You can have the best aim, mechanics, whatever, but if you're playing your bomb site wrong, you're wasting your time. You can play 10 hours, but if I'm putting in 2 hours of demos and then I'm playing for 6 hours, my 6 hours is going to be more efficient than a week of practice.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, I mean, I fully agree. Like, I mean, I was there, and you can ask Hype, you can ask Adam, you can ask anyone that's near enough played under uFrag in the past, right? And I used to bitch relentlessly at that sort of thing, in terms of like, I would literally be sitting there and I'd find out people aren't watching demos, and but like you said, it's not even just specifically watching a POV and just trying to pick up on what they do. It's more than that, in terms of like the way that you're doing it and trying to go into that proper like analytical approach of it and thinking of what you can do, and like, you know what I mean, you're very tactical in the way that you're approaching it.
The thing is, I'm reading it now. Some of this stuff I do now, like the way I play A now, some of this is what I do. Like, so if me and Max play A now in Cobble, and we went over demos together, multiple demos, and I wrote stuff. I'm not gonna obviously get it. But like, I have how we play Cobble now on paper, and it's like we're good on A now. Like, we have our anti-ecos, and I call them. We have setups. Like this is the thing. Like, I have it written here. I have from a North demo, I have the setup to counter alley default. I have one to counter mid default. I have one to counter like a rush or a connector split. Do you see what I mean? Like, you gotta. I don't know. It's just this. People put out that tweet about hard work and
and
people
you know
deserve
straight
a chance.
Away, right? Yeah.
Like I made a tweet, right? Do you remember? I made a tweet, and it's ironic how what did I say? It was like people that actually put the work in.
Oh, I know what you're about. Yeah.
I said people that put the work in don't boast about it on Twitter, right?
Yep.
When have I ever boasted about watching demos or DMing? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, again, this is the thing, and I know it genuinely pisses me off a lot in terms of the way that people do this. In terms of like, at the end of the day, if you're not putting that amount of time and you're not doing things efficiently, you're not actually practicing, right, at the end of the day, and you're still thinking, oh, you know what, I really want to become like the best UK CS player, whatever it is. Like, I don't get why people are doing it, in terms of why say something when your actions clearly prove otherwise, right? So for me, I think there is a very high percentage of people within the UK scene that fall under that category, that as much as they say they want it, they genuinely don't prove anything else otherwise, and it kind of just backtracks on what they're saying. But at the end of the day, like, you've already stated it in terms of how you then end up getting these opportunities to say from just casting and not really playing in a team for a while, to then ended up joining one of the best UK teams as it
This is
stands,
while I'm
right?
casting. Like,
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying, is that if do you know what I mean? Hard fucking work. It's the same in any fucking environment that you're in, whether you're trying to become a caster, whether you're trying to become a player, whether you're trying to me being a fucking retard and trying to do content. But like, at the end of the day, the only way you're gonna get better at it is by putting that fucking hard working and putting the time into it, right? And it's like, no matter what environment you're in. So yeah, people need a bit of a kick up the arse on that one. But at the same point, I say the same thing in regards to everyone that I've spoken to, and even with Pommy, like, Pommy's probably one of the people that like has admitted it to an extent himself, in terms of like, he's the way that he kind of used to approach the game, sort of thing, and he'd say how much he wants it, but there was a lot of things that he was doing that wasn't helping his case in making that sort of point. And the other thing is in terms of like, so many times, especially when things might not have gone the best in a night of practice, and people just disconnect straight after, you know what I mean? There's that 11 o'clock deadline and people are like, yeah, I'm gone, see you later, we'll discuss the issue tomorrow, and then you never discuss it, and then it'll come up again 2 weeks later and the whole thing's 10 times worse, right? Like, but people's willingness to actually sort out those team issues as well is something that makes a big difference, because at the end of the day, if you've got a problem, fix it there and fucking then discuss it, or whatever it necessarily is, right? Rather than just leaving it be and then it'll crawl back up, and you know what I mean? That's the sort of things that end up breaking up teams, is those sort of issues that they just haven't discussed.
yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, it happens in every team. You've seen that Hiko thing that came out recently.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly
we've had issues. Like, you're going to ask me the question, I imagine, later on, about what does the UK scene need to get good. And my honest answer would be professional and proper contracts. I don't know what you'd think about that.
Yeah,
but
so I mean, we'll touch on it. We'll get there. Don't get me wrong. We'll kind of rattle through the rest of the endpoint stuff, and how things
where were
are.
we? How I got into endpoint?
Mate, so this is what I was saying. I was like,
Bloody
so
hell.
the one that I done with Jackie earlier, right? Literally on the intro, he's already digressed from what the original point was, and everyone I talk to, the same thing happens. And I got moaned about it by some guy, because he was like, "Oh, you need to try and keep things more relevant and keep things on topic." I was like, "It's so fucking hard, dude," because like, everyone, you just, the stories that then come out of it, or it'll trigger something in your mind, and then that'll naturally come up. But yeah, endpoint.
Yeah, where was I? So DM on Twitter. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
And I was working very hard, so you could tell from my casting I was watching demos. And basically, yeah, like Imi said it on Twitter. He said hardest working player in the UK is Snodz, and I was casting.
Yeah.
Not player, but hardest working person in the UK is Snodz, and I was casting. And it was so frustrating for me, because on Twitter I'd see shit like, "Oh, I DM for an hour and I watch POV demos on YouTube. Why don't I get a chance to? Why don't I get trials for top teams?"
Sure.
And I'm sat here, not like, I'm just sat here doing the actual hard work, because I enjoy deathmatching. That's the thing. Like, I enjoy DMing. I do it for hours, and but demos are hard, especially doing it like properly, like notes. Like, this is the thing. Like, it's not as if I scribbled down shit. Like, I've got the anti-eco pop long face towards A long, pop flash mid, peek mid, get in for fullback towards connector, have the alley plays towards APC, hold alley, spot connector, spot mid from connector, hold window as well, drop player, then plays towards rock, whatever play, and holds electric.
Sure.
And it's, well, stuff here as well. Play alone A, hold mid doors, eventually full back to hobbit and jiggle long as well. That's out of the meta. So at that time in the meta, it was really strong to. I saw it watching Gavin demos. I saw a lot watching Fallen demos and Kenny S demos. Was they'll play Hobbit. That's out the meta right now. It's all about playing APC and jiggle peek and both, and take a bit of a risk. But that's the thing. It's like, I watched it, like, constantly watching, seeing how the meta evolves, seeing how people get better at the game. Like, yeah, Hobbit's shit now because people smoke the bottom of mid, so it's useless. You see what I mean? before people weren't doing that in the meta, and it shifted.
Yeah, but again, right, that like the way that I kind of view this is the fact of, because of you're that guy and you're that guy that's making all these notes, then there's so many more people, because like, you know what I mean, you can go online and you can watch all these fucking tutorials and you can watch all sorts, but at the same point, the things they don't take into account is that video might be a year old and a lot of the meta has changed in that year,
So
right?
much.
So and that's the thing, is that by you then doing that, and I know a lot of fucking teams that don't do that sort of analytical work that you do, and bear in mind this is just you, not the rest of Endpoint as well, that all do their own bits, right? So
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I mean. So there's so many teams that don't put that sort of work into it, and you've already run through the same thing in terms of that you've got everything written out in terms of you've got like obviously like anti-eco strats, but you've got the specificness of how you're going to play it as well. It's not as if it's just the bare basics of just the rundown of a strat. Is you've literally got every angle covered. If they do this, this is what we do. If we do that, this is, you know what I mean, and predicting everything that's going to happen. And a lot of I know so many teams that are just nowhere near in terms of like preparation. They're nowhere near as prepared. They kind of, they look at it more as that pug style mentality, and they play the same way.
I've got a story after you finish. Sorry.
No, go for it. Hit me. Go.
So a player in top 5 team. God, what did he say? It was the same person that was like asking me about this thing.
Okay.
Like, how do I step up to the next level? He's like, I might quit the game because I've been playing for years, I've been in top team for years, but I haven't got the opportunities you have. Which was a bit strange at first, and then I understand why.
Sure.
And I was like, oh really? It's like, yeah, like, you're so lucky. And I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, shots fired. Yeah.
Whoa. Like, lucky, like,
hard fucking
I was like,
work,
I was
mate,
like, I was like, do you watch demos? He goes, no. I was like, why? He goes, no, I just play I play rank G, or I play FFC, or I play pugs. I was like, excuse me, like, so you're not watching demo? He goes, no. Like, we play quite loose style of Counter Strike, so
I hate that mentality, dude. It just
we play
a
a loose style of Counter Strike, so it's better to me to be better individually than to be better as a team. And I was just like, right, so you don't watch demos, you pug. And I was like, why do you deserve this over me then? Do you see what I mean? It's like, I don't watch demos, I just play pugs, so I'm better individually. But it's hard because it's like, a lot of people message me, they're like, how do I get good?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what's your role on CT? CT is the easiest place to start on because it's like, it's an angle, right? It's a place. You might play Be Short on Mirage, watch Flusher demos. Flusher's unreal at Be Short. It's like, or Cold Zero. You watch 2 demos, write notes, and how they react, okay?
Yeah.
Short smoke comes in. What does he do? Does he molly connector for his teammate? Does he flash connector for his teammate to peek for info? Does he go towards CPL and watch for the mid boost and allow that player towards jungle to hold connector from stairs? See what I mean?
Yeah.
How the whole thing comes together, right? You got to think 3D, but it's like, see how they react. Because if you get smoked off in a pug, you're just going to stand and look at smoke, and your teammate's going to get gangbanged in connector. Like, let's be real. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You watch a demo, you write notes how they react to certain things, and things that come up in games. What do they do on pistol round? Ecos, what do they do? Obviously, it's a lot easier when you have a team, but I didn't have a team, and I was doing it myself. And that's how you start.
I mean, do you pay much attention to kind of learning what other players do that you're going to play up against, sort of thing? So in terms of are there other, like, because that's the one thing, that's probably the line that I don't see that much from UK, but I find it hard to do it within the UK. I think it's obviously something that's a lot easier if you're playing on that higher level because there's a lot more information available for you at that point, whilst obviously getting demos and watching back UK. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, from your perspective now with Endpoint, obviously you are one of the few teams that are focusing on the EU side of it more than the UK side of it, right? Which is good and great. Like, fully respect for you guys to doing that. One thing that I was going to touch on also was like when you first joined Endpoint, like what was the kind of expectations from you thinking like where this team's going to go? And also what I actually wanted to combine that with, if you didn't, obviously with Endpoint being the only essentially salary team as it stands at the moment, obviously there's been a few hit and miss scenarios with other organisations recently as well, but if that potential offer, like, because of obviously when you're going into Endpoint that there's that potential of a contract coming that could obviously involve some monetary side of things as well. If it was if it wasn't Endpoint, like, would you have still prioritized like focusing on playing? Because if it was another UK team, there wouldn't have been that like
Okay.
apprenticeship, as you're going to call it, right?
Okay, so I played for 2 months. I'm still playing for free.
Sure.
And it's all because I want to play with Imi, and because I understand that to get good, like winning is in my future. Like that's the thing. Like I'm not asked. I'm not like this is the thing. Like I'm not stressing over winning now. I'm stressing about learning. So it's like.
Yeah. But I think that's fucking vital, dude. Yeah.
For the next 6. This is the thing. Like for the next 6 months, it's like. How am I wording this? If I got an offer from Endpoint and I was told I wouldn't be salaried for months. Like I was told I wouldn't be salaried for months. Sure. Okay, but I knew I was playing with Imi, so I knew I was gonna learn a lot and I was gonna get good. Like it might not be now. It might be 2 months down the line. It might be 3 months down the line. End of during the summer. I don't know, right? Sure. But at one point, I will get good, and that's when the winning comes. For now, I just need to learn. So demos, accepting my mistakes, don't backchat. Like this when I first joined as well, and people, oh, you're making money. I was like, no. Like top players were like, oh, I'd never do that if I wasn't being paid. I was like, well, that's what separates me and you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but I think you know what I mean. Again, it falls down on so many UK players as much as they say it, but I don't really think the desire is genuinely there of a lot of people. Otherwise, they'd be putting the fucking time in. It's as simple as that, right? Like, I get the fact that it's not easy in terms of people that have jobs, they're in education, they have social lives, they have personal lives. You know what I mean? Like in certain scenarios, it is very hard to fucking balance. But at the same point, no matter what, there's always more. You can always fucking do more, whatever aspect you put into. Like
even me recently, like I had some real life stuff happen. Not happen, but pressures from real life. Sure. Which meant that since I got back from Copenhagen, my mind wasn't on the game. Sure. Like we practiced for a week and I was playing bad. I wasn't focused. I was so stressed out and under so much pressure from my family that I couldn't focus on the game. Sure. And like it wasn't until very recently where I actually sat down with them and sorted it out basically that I'm now playing. Like today I played, like I'm actually playing better. Sure. Now that I can actually think about Counter-Strike, without thinking about
distractions of other shit. Yeah,
exactly that. So yeah, like everyone has distractions and whatnot. Like, so I'm saying, even myself, like I'm on here now saying how I watch these demos and stuff, but like, yeah, like I didn't watch a demo for a few days recently when I was that's a lie, but not as many demos, let's put it like that, sure. As I was because yeah, like I would come off the PC with a massive headache, feeling ill, feeling sick, and then I'd try and sleep and I couldn't sleep because I was so stressed out.
Sure.
And then I would like wake up too late, just on time for prac because we start prac at 1. But like I wake up at 11, eat, shower, and then it's suddenly like 12:15, and then it's like I'm warming up, and then it's practice. You see what I mean? So I had like no hours to actually watch demos at one time. I could have, but I wasn't focused. So like,
it was just
everyone has like, I'm not some God's gift where I watch demo every day. I used to, honestly, I'd watch it's 5 or 6 demos a week.
Sure.
When I was casting, and I have all the notes in my folder. But it's like, God, that's gonna be a meme.
Snodz in his
but it's
folder.
Like, yeah, I couldn't give a fuck if they laugh like that. But it's like, God, I've forgotten what I was talking about.
You just thrown me
motivation. Motivation. It's like, yeah, like I had a lot of motivation then when I was casting because I wanted to play. I wanted to play so bad. It's all I wanted. So yeah, now I'm back on track, and it's yeah, I'm fine now. But that's only like 4 days. So
yeah, but I mean, it's gonna happen to everyone, though, isn't it? At some point, like something's gonna come up that's naturally gonna distract you.
Real life is gonna get in the way. Like it happens. It's happened to people on my team. It happens. You see what I mean? Like
of course it is. But it's how you deal with it and how you handle it, right?
I didn't handle it very well.
Learn from your mistakes, mate.
Exactly, I have.
But I was going to say, we'll kind of crack on. So obviously, you started your Endpoint career in a rather glowing fashion, as already mentioned. Obviously, the ESEA game against Flipside, and obviously Flipside, everyone's viewing them as still that reasonably good T2 side at that point, right? Obviously, they've fallen off a little bit to an extent, but like, obviously, you going into it, I think that's partly due to meta things as well, but yeah.
It's to do with there was going to be a CIS reshuffle.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll go over that
Yeah,
anyway.
it's a different topic, but yeah, otherwise we'll be here all day. But yeah, so obviously started off. I mean, you obviously picked up a lot of a lot of positive comments from that game. Obviously, first game going into it, and obviously you did pull off a lot of vital shots. But I mean, obviously that was all well and good. And I mean, as much as it was like great for, and I was seeing it, I'm like, yeah, my boy Snodz, he's smashing it. But at the same point, like, obviously what happened after that, it kind of, that was the highlight of the initial, and then it probably went like the rest of ESEA was a bit fucked up just in terms
I'm
of
trying to
obviously.
think.
I mean, you were playing with PT for a bit, weren't you? And then you were using other stand-ins throughout ESEA as
Yeah,
well.
I'm just trying to think. Like, have we actually won an official since then?
No, I don't think you did. I think I was looking. I'm pretty sure that was the only
I'm
one
pretty
since you came in.
sure. Oh, we lost it. Oh, don't get me started with the premier standing. That was an absolute piss take. That was so. I don't want to say heartbreaking, but like.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm telling you now, like, to have motivation to prac during all that shit,
Yeah.
like, we would play 8 hours a day with a fifth,
Yeah.
and then it would come to prac, and because the roster's already locked, okay, PT can't play, but PT's running two fucking businesses. Do you see what I mean? Like,
but so
he hasn't got time. He hasn't got time to play and be warm.
The one
like,
thing that I'm going to question on that though is, as much as I get it, like I'm not disputing that at all, but then, and at the end of the day, certain changes that were made in Endpoint previously were like, to an extent, out of their control, however you want to pull it, right? But
like what?
No, I'm just saying in terms of, but isn't this the point of, like, because there's been a few disputes about in terms of how the rosters work, and say like you look at the UK Masters finals in terms of like half of the XL squad then turning out for Radix in that type of scenario, right? So isn't that essentially then the fundamental point of having roster locks, so that like you know what I mean, it tries to entice you to keep that roster more rather than then coming into those issues at some point where you can't change it? Like, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying one's right either way. I just want to get your thoughts on the way
I was meant to join Endpoint when Hud's G.
Oh fucking hell, yeah! I forgot about the Hudge G scenario. That was it.
So
yeah.
I was actually meant to join Endpoint a month beforehand.
Sure.
But then Luzza played sick at the boot camp, and Luz is sick.
Like, yeah, no, he is.
I had no hard feelings about not being in for him. But yeah, Luz was playing well. He's in form. They're playing well, so they kept him, and the org wanted to keep him. Fair enough. If you've been salarying someone for 4 months, you don't want to
you don't want to just hit him off, yeah.
For a caster. So, so yeah, I was meant to join a month before. Long story short about how I joined Endpoint, DM from Imi, saw a lot of potential in me, still does. Don't know what he sees, but I don't know. Like, there's a quote which is, "People of power know potential when they see it." Like,
sure, I like
when
that.
I don't know how, but like, you got. This is the thing. I joined Endpoint, never played a Vimy. Not what I played a pug. Played one Face It. Like, Imi picked me up having zero idea how good I was mechanically. Like, and I was casting for 4 months, so to pick me up, that's mental. To take that risk, but I didn't know what he saw in me. But it was like, he still sees it in me now. But
you hope.
The problem is, like, he sees the end product of me. You see what I mean? And I see what I know, which is myself. So like, it's so hard. Like, the expectation's so high. So like, Mirage, like, playing mid-window Mirage is literally one of the hardest things of my life.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean,
like, the stuff I have to do, and how I have to, like, the whole setup is based around me. Like, I go here, if I don't call why I'm going here, what I'm watching, and where the other people should play. If I'm going off Be Sure, I need to tell the Be Sure player how to play. Like, this sounds very basic, but
no, but I mean, the thing is as much as it is basic, but it's a lot of things that a lot of teams don't do.
I can give an example.
Well.
I can give an example, right? I'm playing mid-window, okay? I'm rotating back to ticket. I'm holding CT. Ezio has to rotate from site towards connector, and then you have to have Sparker. I have to tell Sparker well, he knows it now, but at the time, Sparker then has to go into CPL and watch the boost from window, because if Ezio is connected, he cannot see the boost to window, and that's like the gap in our setup. Sure. You see what I mean? But like, my one movement from leaving window to watch ramp changes everything. So I wasn't ready for that. Like, I have it written down, but like,
in practice, it's different, isn't it? Like,
instantly, like that. Like, I'm going to ticket booth. I'm holding connector. That instantly means the two players have to play aggressive towards ramp. Like, I wasn't ready for how hard it was going to be to play.
Sure.
And to see it on a third, like, because the thing is, it's like, Imi's like, oh, I brought you in to be this player, to be this. I'm like, I've been here for 2 weeks, and I have to literally call our CT setups. Like it was so hard, but it's because he knows 3-6 months down the line I'll be able to do it, and we're here for the long haul. Do you see what I mean? Like, if you wanted instant success, you could pick up you could get a foreign
Yeah,
offer.
they're like.
See what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But if you want, like, he sees the end product, and the end product is the complete player, which, you know, I wasn't, and still am not. Like, it takes months
Yeah,
and months
mate,
of time
same,
and hard work.
same
So.
as everyone in UKCS, dude. Everyone's
But yeah,
got a long
like
way
what
to go.
I'm saying was, like, it was so hard because I wasn't ready to see the game on a 3D level and call everything, and I'd be the focal point as the AWPer.
Sure.
So it was incredibly hard joining. But yeah, like with the ESCA thing, bloody hell, we digressed. With the ESCA thing, it was like I joined with PT, so I was meant to join a month before, but lots of stayed. I already said how I joined Endpoint, so yeah. But I joined, and I played with PT, and I'm friends with PT. He's the guy, shake my fucking hand, the guy I killed, come here, you cunt. I remember the first time we practiced, I was like, by the way, Pete, I'm sorry for calling you a cunt.
Did he accept it though? He's
Yeah. He was like, fucking hell, that was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, PT's been in the scene for so fucking long as well,
like,
hasn't he? So,
the amount of stories and players he's seen, like, I'm just a dot on the dot
for sure
on the page where that term is. But it was like PT joins, and after 2 weeks, he has to start another business, so he can't play. And it was just like, oh, okay, we have to find someone else. So we offered trials to people, and the amount of people that turned down because there was no money was pretty. Like,
but like, don't you find that so
good?
fucking...
It's good because
no,
the 5 we have now. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
after.
but I was gonna say it's good because, I mean, the way I'd perceive that is that it's good because of that way you're only gonna get someone that's truly dedicated to coming into the team and helping the team work, right? But the flip side of that is that the fact of that's the mentality for a lot of UK players, is the fact of, unless I get the money, I'm not going to do it. And it's like, just like, it literally infuriates the shit out of me, just because of, it's like, if you really want to do this as your career, fucking just do it. I mean, if you're good enough, you'll get noticed at the end of the day.
Hard.
Like, it is, of course it is, but at the same point, it's just the expectations of people. Like, at the end of the day, even from, and we'll probably touch on this a little bit, but even from the Endpoint point of view of salarying players, even them as an organisation will know that in the grand scheme of things of where the UK scene is at esports wise, it's probably not the best value for money, but at the same point, they're doing it because they want the scene to progress and they want the people that are representing them to have the best chance possible in doing that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's literally the way it is. So for people to genuinely jump on the bandwagon and just expect those sort of things, reevaluate your priorities would be my point on that.
Yeah. Like, the only person, like, I would cut off that was Cryptix. So we went to get Cryptix. He was going to quit his job to play. Like, he wanted to get pro. He was going to quit his job. Like, he knew he wasn't going to have money coming in. So, like, he tried to sell his car. Like, he really tried. He was selling his car to be able to have money to live and play. And like, he was like, yeah, like, well, the schedule is going to be what it is now. Like, 12 or 1 till 10 p.m. Like, we play now from 1 till 10 p.m. Which is mental, by the way.
Yeah, no. Bear in mind, most teams are 7 to 11, so yeah, the extra 6 hours a day.
But 1 hour for breaks, 6 or 5 hours. But yeah, Cryptix couldn't get the money, couldn't sell his car, or something happened, so he couldn't play. So, like, it's not his fault. He tried, but it sort of fucked us over because.
But, I mean, I like Cryptix.
No. I need to say why. Sure. It sort of fucked us over because he joined the roster as our last spot for ESA Premier.
Oh, did he actually?
Yeah, which meant that as soon as, like, guys, I can't sell my car. Because I can't sell my car, I can't quit my job. Because I can't quit my job, I can't play. Yeah. See what I mean? Because he's got a girlfriend, like, he has to pay rent or whatever. Just what I mean? So he couldn't do it anymore, which meant we were cocked, basically. And we had to get Pete. Pete's sick, but Pete, 10 hours played, doesn't care. You know what I mean?
He's not in the same mindset as what you guys are.
It'd be like, I would message him like, hey, Pete, ready for tonight? Can you play tonight? I don't want to play, but if I have to.
I know so many people that say that sort of thing, but yeah.
Hey, Pete, we're playing tonight versus... Pete, we're playing tonight versus Fnatic Academy. Oh, cool, what map? No. I don't want to play, but if I have to, yeah. Inferno. I haven't played Inferno. Okay, then. Professional match on ESCA in front of all our sponsors, playing with, like, Pete, who isn't putting the time in, because why would he care?
Sure.
You know, if I was in a position, I'd be the same. I'm not gonna DM. You're not gonna DM for 4 hours before you play that match.
Of course not.
You're gonna do that match. You're gonna carry on with your day. running, like doing your
It's
job.
not your main priority at the end of the day.
Yeah,
is
like
it?
so you can't fault him. You know, he did his job and he actually played very well. Bar a few games. But it's like, yeah, so we had to play Premier half-assed and it was awful because like it just wasn't what we wanted to show. And like
I mean,
now,
did you all kind of lose motivation for ESEA? Like,
yeah, for
like,
ESEA, yeah, but not for the team, but for ESEA.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, not for the team, but just because of the way that all planned out, and obviously with the roster locks, and it was just, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you are playing good teams in ESEA Premier without a shadow of a doubt, right? So, like, when you're going into these sort of games, knowing that you're not at your full capacity, you're not at your full roster, it's not going to be the best mentality going into each game at the end of the day, is it? But so obviously various things happen through that, and obviously then we'll move on to the big one of what was you and Endpoint attending at Copenhagen games. Now, who was the kind of decision maker between kind of going along with that and going to CPH instead of going to the wonderful UK event that is iSeries?
Imi and Ads. Ads wanted to send the UK team to oh god, I can't remember, to be honest with you. It was Imi and Ads really wanted to go, but we were like, look, okay, it's $2,500 to the org. I'm paying salary, like he's paying full time, like salaries, the cost. It's like, well, if we qualify for UK Masters is free. We all take $1,000. So it's like, why wouldn't you do that? Do you know what I mean? So we ended up basically having this ultimatum, which was, if we don't qualify for Masters, we'll go to Copenhagen. So obviously we don't qualify for Masters. I go 6 for 20. I go like 6 for 24 on the last map.
I was going to touch on that a little bit.
I had this error, vac auth error, the whole day versus FM. So like I was mega tilted because we lost like 16-13 on Mirage when I was DCing the whole of T side. We lost. We lost the other map. I can't even remember what that was, but it was Inferno. Was it? I can't remember. But anyway,
I think it was Inferno. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, I'm just DCing. Like, it was 16-11, and I DC'd 3 buy rounds on Inferno. Like,
it's not exactly convenient, is it?
Do you see what I mean? Like, I was so tilted because I thought it was my fault that we lost, and like, I was like, fuck, we could have beat them, blah blah blah. And then yeah, I was tilted. And then it got to like 12 p.m. or 11 p.m. and I was so tired and tilted, I just crumbled. I played shit. Yeah, like we lost. I went like 6 for 20, and we lost 2-1. But yeah, went to Copenhagen.
Like, going into Copenhagen, I mean, obviously bear in mind someone that at this point you've only really been to 2 events, and obviously then you're going to a CPH sort of thing.
Yep.
Obviously going into it, were you like, what were your kind of thought process going into it? Because I mean, obviously the groups got announced before, like reasonably early, didn't they, in terms of who you'd be playing in your group?
Oh god, I've got a funny story about that as well.
Go for it, good sir.
Yeah, we were scrimming Berry's team as the groups got announced.
Sure.
So we had just beat them on Nuke and we beat them on something else.
Yeah.
Like 16, like 18-12 or whatever, or like 15-15, like fairly close games. And then, Copenhagen games were announced. Oh, really? Wait, we just scrimmed this team, literally, as I've closed down Counter-Strike, it's been uploaded. So, yeah, we ended up playing them again and beat them 16-14 on Atlan. But going into Copenhagen, Ads was like, look, I'm not spending $2,000. We put in some of our own money as well. I can talk about that as well a bit later. But like, I'm not spending $2,000, like, to put pressure on all of you. Like, just take it as a learning experience and to build chemistry in the team.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Yeah.
And because of that, we went. And because of that, it like saved our team. It did. Honestly, it did. And it's like, if we weren't at Copenhagen, we wouldn't be a team now. Or this same 5, let's put it like that. So yeah.
Do you? I mean, well, yeah. I guess we'll kind of get onto that in a bit as well. We kind of go over.
But I was going to say about professional contracts and all that. Like,
yeah,
we'll same thing.
Yeah, we'll get onto it. We'll get onto it. Don't worry. But I mean, obviously, you won your first game, which was over like Feudalberg or something along their lines. It was like 16-0 on Nuke to you guys, which was obviously a nice, comfortable first game. Like, then obviously, like you kind of said, you moved on to the OPAA one, which was 16-14 on Inferno, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Inferno? Yeah. I think Sparker and Imi both done really, really well in that in terms of like frag perspective. Anyway,
that's honestly with Sparker. It was the language barrier was so big. So like I was playing train. We're playing train in an official, and they're going Ivy, but like he didn't know how to say
Ivy.
no. Like, how do I explain this? Like, they're not pushing. They've done the big the phase smokes, the phase alley. Okay, they've done phase alley execute. It's a fake. Do you see what I mean? Like, he didn't notice. He's like, no alley, no. Like, you see what I mean? Like,
it's getting the words out quick enough, isn't it? Like,
yeah, but now his English is so much better. Because he's played for a month now in English. This is after we just got him 2 weeks, a week after we just had him. So it was like, fuck, like, we're gonna go to LAN and see what happens. So we go to LAN, and he banged that team, and we got out of groups first seed. Like 27 kills a swing.
Yeah.
But like, at LAN, he spoke more. At LAN, like, he wasn't as afraid. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but I mean,
online,
you meet everyone
online,
in person, don't
yeah,
you?
yeah. Like, you're joining this team, you're foreign, so you're instantly like the outcast. You see what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you can't have the same banter. Like, we're talking really fast. You can't understand it all.
Especially when
and like
we
would say calls.
Accent.
Yeah, exactly. So like we're like making calls. Oh, there's a funny story where Amy's like, "Go back to mid, Sparker. Go back to mid. Go back to mid, Sparker."
He just doesn't understand.
Sparker, go back to mid. and he does it in an Italian accent. He's there, Scout's like, it's like, oh, it's so funny. It was so funny. He goes, Sparker, go back to mid. And then Sparker instantly just went back to mid and we won the round. It was so funny. It was on overpass. But yeah, like, that's how it was. Because we're speaking so fluently and so fast. Like, and he didn't live in England, didn't learn English in school. Yeah. So like, how is he supposed to know? Yeah, we go to LAN. His English is way better. He's more confident. And because of that, we kept him. And now, like, now he's getting real good. So
yeah, no, I mean, from what I've seen to him, to be fair, he looks like a talented kid for sure. So I mean, hopefully,
very talented.
Hopefully it continues. But then yeah, we went on to the OPA A1, which was 16-14 to you guys. It was a tough game though, wasn't it? And then the Alpha games, which was then we move on to the best of 3 side. So I mean, the way that I'm gonna kind of assume this was like, did losing that 16-14 on Cobble in the first one kind of affect your mentality going into the second map?
No,
or was it just
actually.
they just naturally? Because I mean,
Cobble Cobble's our shittest map.
So what happened on train? I was gonna say, what happened on train?
Shouldn't have said that. We're bad. Well, okay. Cobble is not our favourable map.
Sure.
It's the best way to fucking word it. Oh, God, I'm in the doghouse now, Vimy. Yeah, we don't like Cobble, and they picked it. We were kind of hoping they wouldn't, and they picked something else instead. And yeah, 16-14. We were like, oh, 16-14, our worst map. Like, we're fine. We're gonna win. And then like,
then train happened.
Then the confidence they had on that train game, like, I was like, this is the thing, right? You've got Sparker, who hasn't got much experience. Ezio hasn't got much experience. Me with fucking no experience because I'm a fucking caster. And then Emi and Max with the experience, right? So it's like, I'm playing scared, I'm nervous. Sparker and Ben, we're all the same. And we're the outside players on train. So these fucking... These Danes on home soil, my God. Did they come storming out of A main and fucking banged us on site? Like, when I say banged us, I mean like... Mate, it was unreal. Amount of confidence they had, it was a learning experience. Like, we went over the demos, we watched that Cobblestone game back. Like, we've watched the games back and like learned a lot from it. Do you see what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, I was playing Hobbit a lot on that Cobblestone game. I went, oh, this doesn't work. Like, I'm gonna watch Envious play now. And now, as I know now, playing Hobbit is out of the meta because alley default is so prevalent. And but yeah, that's just.
So I mean, obviously after that happened, and you know what, like, I will kind of go on a slight bit of a tangent to an extent in terms of, like, for the most part, I did see the vast majority of people being supportive of Endpoint going to CPH, but there was certain people that were coming out of just some absolute shit. And the one point that I'm going to make on this, and I don't want to speak about it anymore, to be fair, but it's just like, everyone moans about how shit the scene is, so when certain teams start to try and do well, or they're attempting to do things, fucking support them. Stop being dickheads, stop chasing them down, stop hunting them. Like, at the end of the day, if you want the scene to grow, be supportive of them, because otherwise the more times you're shitting on people, like, it does affect them. At the end of the day, you're still going to read something, it might still just tickle your mind or things like that. And like, in fairness, not that I'm calling them out, but like, Imi especially might be one of those sort of people that he'll see some dumb shit on Twitter and he gets quite pissed off by it, right? As an
Yeah.
example. So that's the sort of stuff that I'm gonna like. It doesn't help when people do it, but yeah, either way. So after CPH has happened, like, what was the kind of thought process of the team? Like, were you all still confident in terms of the way that you did perform? Because I mean, I think Alpha, like, I think they got knocked out next round after they beat you, if I'm not mistaken.
We had such a good route. We had to beat Euronics, who we beat in Prac, and that Alpha team. But yeah, we crumbled. Like, this is the thing. Like, in those games, our best player was Imi. Like, because
even the HLTV stats that I saw. I mean,
do you see what I mean? Like, in Prac, no offense to Ian, like, he's usually like towards the bottom, as he should be. Like,
As
that's what you want. Do you see what I mean? Like, and in officials, big games, he's at the top. Like, there is a problem.
Yeah.
And the problem is me. I can't. You know, I'm not taking full blame, but like, I'll get nervous. I won't play as aggressive, or
Sure.
do you see what I mean? Like, it's experience. I have no experience, and like 6 months down the line, who the fuck knows how good I'll be?
Yeah, that's
what
when
I mean?
you
Like,
can start making more opinions, right? But
what is his name? Magic Boy. So in the Pimp, Thorin's interview, Pimp was like, "Oh, what was it like playing Magic Boy?" And he was like, "Oh, at first he was bad, he was dumb. Friss used to rage at him. He said Friss used to call him bad in pracs and rage at him for the first few months, and then he got good online, and then we're okay, blah blah." And then they went to the EU minor qualifier, or the major qualifier, SK,
and he just smashed it.
and they played shit. Magic Boy played shit, and Friss put a tweet out saying, "I'm playing with the biggest onliner," and that was to do with Magic Boy because on LAN he played shit. Look at him now. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's got to be given time, right? And in fairness, right, I think
where's Friss? Where's Friss and where's Magic Boy? Like,
I'm pretty sure the vast majority of pros have been called shit by someone else when they've been like grinding their way up in
experience.
Right? Yeah,
experience.
It happens to everyone as they naturally develop.
But yeah, to touch on the point about on the point with thingy. Ron put out a tweet. He apologized for it when he had more information, but he put out a tweet like, "Yeah, top 4 UK team being sent around top 4 UK team being sent around the world to play shit at LAN or to do bad at LAN or something like that." But like, Endpoint doesn't send us around the world. Like, we all paid 300 quid each. We all paid for our flight and ticket.
Sure.
Do you see what I mean? Like, flight was 150, ticket plus PC rental. Well, that's like what, 300. Like, we all put in our own money. Like, the org covered hotels.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, we want to be at that LAN. We want to travel to Europe. It's not as if Endpoint just sends us around. Like, we want it bad. That's what separates us.
Don't you find that, like, and don't get me wrong, like, I do genuinely, I've not really ever spoken to Rom directly, in fairness.
He apologised. Like, I've got nothing against Rom.
No, neither do I. But I mean, he is, in fairness, one of those people that I'd say that he does have a tendency of making these offhand comments sort of thing, maybe before knowing the full story. But a lot of people do, in fairness. So it's nothing against him. But like,
as soon as Amy was like, "Look, mate, we put our own money into this,"
yeah,
Ron was like,
he backs back down.
Sorry,
yeah.
you see what I mean? Like, and then he realised what we were there for.
Yeah, and it was fine, right? And, like, in fairness, at least he's always got the decency to kind of, you know what I mean, realise if he didn't. Yeah, but so not meant in a bad way against Rom at all. But I think a lot of people are in that mentality. And I don't know if it's to an extent like slightly envious of kind of not having that same opportunity as in a way. I don't necessarily, but I think a lot of people probably do view it in that kind of manner. But at the end of the day, like, look, I'll be the first person, and this is, I guess, where we can start touching on more of the UK scene stuff in itself and the kind of Endpoint and contracts and things like that. But I'll be the first person, as much as I like Endpoint as an organisation, as much as, you know what I mean, like, to me, especially like the IMI Max and SEO, like me, when I first started getting involved in the scene, them under the Malik and then the Choke and things like that, they were like, they've always been the higher echelons of the scene since I've been involved in it, right? So they've always been a team that I've kind of looked at in a good way. But at the same point, the one thing that I am always on the fence with now with regards to Endpoint in terms of the last year is that, because I always look at esports from the more business point of view as well, just because of obviously the org side of things previously and just the way that I naturally look at it, like for all the people that look at it and say, oh, well, the UK scene just needs investment, they just need money, they just need things like this, and obviously the example that I would then put to it, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but obviously you're then going to say, okay, well look, there's Endpoint here who have been essentially salaried to an extent. Obviously it's not necessarily the full amount of salary that they could be making in a job elsewhere,
Oh yeah.
for sure, right? But I'm just saying it's the comparison that if you've got a team that's being salaried for a year and they haven't exactly made much progress within that year, from the outside perspective, and this is the way that I'm always going to say it, because at the end of the day there's a lot of ifs and buts and variables that aren't necessarily that team's decisions or that team's fault as to why they've happened. But from the outside perspective, everyone's going to look at that and be like, well look, there's this team that's been salaried for a year, what the fuck have they done with it?
Apologies there. My phone's going off. My phone's ringing. Yeah, like
I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just like that's the way that a lot of people from the outside are going to kind of look at it as the example, right?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So basically, we had a problem in our team where we would lose, and some players, giving it away, a player would get very, very angry, but oh, fuck's sake, we shouldn't be losing, blah 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 blah, and would like go emo or mute in TeamSpeak. Like that was the thing. Like we'd lose a game, like we lost versus Chrome, right? 13-3 up, right? And we lose that game, okay? And Insta mutes, like, doesn't talk, he's super angry, whatever. And we're like, mate, why are you so angry? It's like, we're being salaried to perform, we're being salaried to win, and we're losing. And then Ads was just like, what the fuck are you on about? I salaried you so you could sit in front of your computer all day and get good by the end of the year. By the end of the year.
Point, yeah.
Like, the problem is, I think I brought some of this in, where it's like, don't need to be good now, but in 3 months' time, right?
Well,
you see what I mean?
But I mean, realistically, I mean, like I said, I completely agree, and I've already touched on the fact that, like Ads and Endpoint specifically, like, of course, it's not the biggest value for money thing, or that's going to bring you, but the reasons why you're doing it is, or he's doing it from the Endpoint perspective is different, and that's great, and that's fine, and I have mad respect for him for doing it. But like at the same point, like you kind of said, is that you've got like a time frame in terms of you're saying, oh, okay, well, look, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, but that still does bring a lot of pressure in a way, right? Because if it's like, as much as you're not thinking about it directly here and there, but at the same point, as time flies, then it's going to be triggering in everyone's mind in terms of thinking that, like, oh, you know, I mean, we've just been another 3 months. Have we made, like, there's constant evaluations, I guess, right, from yourselves in terms of how far you're progressing as a team, which is going to be natural to everyone. But like, would you say there's an added pressure there just because of the financial sides of things?
Well, currently I'm not salaried, so I don't feel it. But I know players in my team do or did probably still do a little bit.
I mean, it's natural to be expected. I mean,
once we said, like, you're not here to perform right now. You're here to be good in 6 months' time. Like, yeah, there's pressure. Like, yeah, there's pressure to improve, but like, we are improving. Sure. Like, the team that you saw at UK Masters right now
isn't the same team as what you've got now.
So we had you saw the tweet we put out, right? Yeah. About looking for a coach.
Sure.
We had someone trial for a coach when I first joined, or like the week we had UK Masters, so the week we played versus Imperial.
Okay. Was it a UK coach or?
Yeah. We had an Italian coach for a little bit.
Okay.
Because of Sparker.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, we had him in, and then we had him today again, and we banged this. Who was it? We had like a 11-4 half losing pistol.
Sure.
Versus a good team. We're talking salaried full-time team.
Sure.
And he was just like, holy fuck, you guys are way fucking better than when I was last here. And last here was 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
And the reason, like, we've been using software, like, you know, you've seen those, like, if you watch the Sponge videos with those analyst stuff, like StatSpy,
Sure.
like what the pro teams use, we've been using some of that. Endpoint have been able to fund that for us. It's not that expensive, but it's made such a big difference.
Sure.
For me personally, like, being able to watch a demo and like that, see all my mistakes, like, makes praccing so efficient.
Yeah,
See what I mean? So software's helped a lot. Obviously the time we put in, like, if you're putting in 8 hours a day and you're still shit, or still the same team,
there's a big fucking
still the same.
there.
Yeah. But yeah, like, he came in today and I was like, holy fuck, you guys are completely different.
So I mean, the one thing that's kind of always intrigued me, I guess, a little bit about this lineup now is, like, from you, like, I mean, I'd personally describe you as an emotional type player, or not emotional in terms of like, you know, I mean, crying, weeping, but emotional in terms of like that your emotions that you're feeling get quite heavily impacted by what's gone on in the game, whether it be the aggression side of it, whether it be the tilting side of it to an extent, right? And
Yeah, I can't deny.
yeah, no, I mean that's the way it is. But I mean, like throughout the team, I mean, to be fair, SEO to me has always seemed like a relatively calm person.
He's
But
that
no,
guy is literally emotionless.
yeah,
Like,
that's what it's like from every time I've seen him play or whatever.
love Ben.
Yeah, he is a very very level-headed guy. One of the nicest people. Again, like he's a really really nice guy. But Imi again, obviously not flaming Imi, but he is that person that can get affected by certain things that do happen, and because of, I mean, I've said this a few times, where he is that older based player, and you look at the older based IGLs that kind of exist within the UK scene, if you're going to kind of say the Immies, the Sheikies, the Adam XOXOs, and they've all got some similarities to an
Played
extent,
both of them.
yeah, in terms of the aggressiveness and the way that they kind of call things, and it's like my way or the highway to an extent, right? And like, do you think that the emotional side and the mentality side of certain people in the team can have I mean, the way I look at it is they can have a positive effect as much as it can have a negative effect, because
Well,
sometimes if you're all feeling it and you're getting hyped, then that can be great and it can lead on to kind of that mentality being great. But at the same point, it can also, if things aren't going well, that's where that side of it can also come into play and kind of tilt you more than it necessarily should do, if that makes sense.
yeah, well, I mean, to touch on the examples you gave, Adam XO again, like he gave nothing but respect to me
Yeah.
and the team. But then again, he wasn't like I've not heard, but like he's did the thing with Pommy,
Sure.
and it's like I don't know, like I didn't. For me, Adam wasn't a rager, but again, I wasn't playing in the team because we were a mix and
Sure. It was different.
it was different. We weren't like, you know what I mean? So yeah, like for me, Adam Excel was is emotionless. You know, he's great. Shiki, like I'm not gonna go into it, but the example of being 8-0 up and losing 16-0 in a row to uFrag and ending 16-8 is an example of exactly that. But the thing is, like, I spoke to players from Infused about it before, and they're like, "Yeah, Shiki's fine now." Like, but then again, he's playing with Aussie,
or
and like
not Aussie anymore, but yeah, like the
at the time, this is what
yeah.
I mean.
Well, I mean,
it's a while ago.
I spoke to Pickles about it as well, didn't I? Because I'd done the Meet the Scene episode with Pickles as well, and that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask him, was in terms of that kind of cheeky influence and how he does things. And even he said that, to be fair, it was kind of different. It wasn't like, I mean, there'd still be moments here and there, I guess, but it wasn't like the kind of old cheeky that people would.
That I went through, yeah.
That people would kind of assumed the way for him to be. But yeah, what about Emmy? I mean, obviously, there's been various. Not, I don't mean it in a bad way, but incidents with Imi, I guess, in the past, in terms of the way that he's handled things and the way people have made it out to be a lot like bigger than what it should have been, I guess. But from the way I view it, as much as like, I do think that Imi is one of those people that, unless you kind of agree with his opinion, he gets a bit rattled by it, I guess. But at the same point, like, I'd say at the end of the day, he's one of the most experienced people in the game, from a UK perspective, and at the end of the day, the authority that he does kind of have over the team is very, very beneficial, because at the end of the day, he wears his heart on his sleeve as well, right? In terms of how,
exactly.
like, and that's the really good thing with it. So yeah, I mean, what's your experience has been like with Imi as IGL so far?
In terms of emotions and rage, like, there's been times, but like, they were justified times.
Sure.
Like,
that's, you know what, like, sorry to kind of.
I'm trying to think of an example actually. When has it's, you know what? It's more in prac than it is officials, which is good. But like, it's with the rate. Like, I don't know. It's okay. He's fine now because we have stat spy to go over the demo instantly. Like,
sure.
Like, for example, on Cobblestone today in prac, me and like we had a read. We had Sparker, Peak Plat with the AWP. He's a secondary AWPer. Peak's Plat with the AWP has full Plat control. I have Plat. Imi, you can go A. We have 3A. They come A, and me, Max, and Imi don't get a kill, or me, Max, and Ezio don't get a kill, right? And
he's not happy.
no. He's like, what the fuck's going on there? But we're gonna watch that round back, and that's the difference, I think. Like, having, like, before I was on the team, they weren't playing full time, so it's like you have limited time, you're more stressed, you don't have like we have 8 hours a day, and we can play as many scrims as we want. So we play 6 scrims a day and do 2 hours of server stuff. Well, don't know. Like at the moment, there was a problem I was having, and I fucked up a round. I'm not gonna say what map, but I fucked up a round. And instead of raging, he's just like, I need to see that in the demo. Like, I need to see what you've done there. Instead of just raging at me because, like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess having that software is kind of
But
proving to be valuable.
before he wasn't. Well, before he wasn't salaried and he wasn't playing full time, where you can be more relaxed because you can go over the problems more.
Sure. I mean, the one thing that I was always going to say on this is, and this is like the Pommy kind of brought it up with regarding to what Adam was like in the past. Now, the one thing that I've always maintained on this is a lot of the times where people have got a bit salty, so like if Adam has had a go at him, but the vast majority of the time that Adam's had a go at him, he has actually been in the right. So it's difficult to then kind of argue back in those scenarios. Where
I never argue back.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, don't get it wrong. I think that the one thing that triggers me the most is when people argue back during the game. Like, if you want to discuss it after the game, great, fair enough, do it, go ahead. But during the game, it just then starts tilting every other fucker on the team as well, because they've just got to listen to this bullshit of you two having it out.
So we were playing Nuke, right? And in scrims, Imi told me to do a flashbang.
Yeah.
And in an official UK Masters official, I think it's one versus Imperial or something. I can't remember. But I threw that same flash. He's like, "The fuck are you doing throwing that fucking flashbang? Does that flash do anything for the team? Fuck are you doing? Now they know we're going outside." Blah blah blah. Like, you see what I mean? And I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I was like, "My bad, okay."
Yeah. Just take it.
And then after the game, I was like, "Look, mate. Like, I could have told you to fuck off there, but I didn't. I wouldn't. But in practice, you have told me to throw that flashbang to flash you guys close.
Sure.
Okay?" And it's like, "Yeah, I probably did." And I was just like, cool. Like, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but
and he apologized. Like, yeah, sorry for raging. But it's like, it's about knowing when to do it, you know? Yeah, but playing with Imi, like, again, he's pretty much the only reason I joined Endpoint, because I knew playing with him I'd get good.
Sure.
So, like, I have nothing but respect for him for giving me the opportunity as well to pick up a caster,
for sure.
having no idea how good I was mechanically, but he just saw something in me that I don't even know. Like, he sees the end product of me. It could be 6 months down the line, 3 months down the line, but he sees the potential.
I mean, obviously, all I can say, we'll move on to some of the UK scene stuff, but all I can say is obviously good luck to yourself and the rest of Endpoint, and hopefully it does can kind of continue as the last couple of weeks have gone for you guys, and onwards and upwards, right? But yeah, so we'll go on to thoughts of the like kind of the UK scene. So what was the contracts bit in reference to earlier when you brought it up? I kind of forgot a little bit.
Like I saw a thing where on some of the other meet the scenes. I don't know if it's pickles, flakes, whatever, but it's like
in all of them, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like, what does the UK need? And it's like, we need
yeah.
money or whatever. I think Flake said he didn't need money, you need something else. But like, regardless, it's like, you don't need money. Well, you do need money, okay? You need a little bit of money, like we have now. Well, I say we. They have now.
Yeah.
Or with Gfinity coming, those players in Gfinity, they'll be salaried the lower hundreds. You see what I mean? But like, it's something, right?
Yeah.
But it's about having professional contracts that you can't just like that. So, like I mentioned before, like I double checked. I was like, look, can I say this on Meet the Scene? And it was like, yeah, it's fine. But like, our team would have folded weeks ago if it wasn't for the professional contract.
Sure. But I mean, so my
I can't end it there. I cannot end it there.
No, go for it. So sorry, yeah.
So like, every team has issues. Like with the optic thing, like Hiko and Elige hate each other.
Sure.
The same way, like there was issues like that within my team. But it's like, that was a month ago, okay? Before Copenhagen. We came back from Copenhagen, and for now, touch wood, it's all fine. There's no issues. And actually, it's other people having issues with like other people now. Well, no one's having issues, but other people have the issues now. Like, the people that are closest in the team right now were the people that were against each other the most when I joined.
Sure.
See how ironic that is?
Yeah.
And how things can change over 2 weeks. Yeah, you have an issue. You fix the fucking issue. And now they're like the closest in the team.
Either way, like I do kind of, when I do the kind of keynotes of it sort of thing for what was said in what time, I can't remember the phrase for it because I'm a retard. But anyway, the one point that I want to make on that is because of that sort of information, I think is fundamental to so many teams in terms of just needing to fucking hear it. Because at the end of the day, like, you've experienced it, and you know so many other teams where this scenario has happened, right? And it's literally they haven't decided to just kind of see it on through, battle it out, fix the issues, and go through it. And literally, like you just said, within the space of 2 weeks to a month, those issues have been completely overturned, and the people that were necessarily most against each other are now the best of mates in that scenario, right? So, and that's kind of
No, yeah,
no,
the
but
closest, yeah,
but you know what I mean, just as the example, right? But that's the point in terms of that people really, really need to think about that from a team perspective and genuinely think by me kicking this player or by this person leaving, is it really going to be beneficial as to opposed to us just sticking it out for another couple of weeks and just fixing what the fuck was the problem?
Exactly.
I'm not saying that's always viable because of sometimes people just don't click and it just doesn't work and for whatever, like one reason or another, but a lot of the time, especially UK scene related, it is down to petty bullshit. Like genuinely is down to petty bullshit. So that's the only reason I'm going to say is people listen to the wonderful man that is Snodz and take that advice on boards and, you know what I mean, see it through. But yeah, the contract side of things, like my take on it is that, I mean, for you guys, yes, I think when you're salaried, or even if you're not necessarily salaried, but when you're in a team that's part salaried, shall we say, to an extent, and as the organisation is one of the organisations within the UK that probably has more resources than a lot of other UK organisations, essentially.
Can't deny it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does. But at the end of the day, trying to implement contracts within the vast majority of amateur orgs that exist, I don't think it's viable. Well, there's various reasons. Like, don't get me wrong, even in my experience with uFrag, I never implemented contracts. I put in team agreements, which everyone knew wasn't a contract, but at the same point, I didn't do it for A, I trusted Adam and who Adam was going to bring in, and I knew there wouldn't be really any bullshit around it. But B, because at the end of the day, like, if they don't fall through on that contract, I'm not going to go take them to court. I don't have the money, the time, and hassle to go deal with that. And they know full well that that's the same way, so they can get out of it, or I can if I wanted to in that scenario, right? I do genuinely think that contracts are something
massive, absolutely massive.
They are from all sorts of reasons, and for fundamentally the fact of it does kind of entice people to stay on a team a bit more and kind of force you together a little bit more to battle through and see through certain issues, where opposed to if you didn't have those contracts in place, you can just go, okay, see you later. And don't get me wrong, issues are still going to happen. Obviously the pro scene is a perfect example of that. It does still happen, they're all contracted, but yeah, contracts, I think they are vital going forward. And I think any time that an organisation comes in that, I mean, as soon as they start salarying players, then yes, they have to have a contract in place. If you don't, you're retarded. There's the question that's been floated around a lot in terms of like, should just fully funded like to event teams be salaried and things like that. Again, it's to and fro in the org's decision. I still think that the same rule applies in terms of that both sides of it know that contract isn't going to be, like, nothing legal wise is going to happen if either of them
if you're not salarying them, it means jack shit.
Exactly. But so it is very, very difficult to where the scene is at the moment, but going forward it is a big fundamental for sure. But yeah, I mean, my big point on this actually is, where do you fall in terms of, we spoke about it a bit in terms of that XL lineup going, or 3 out of 5 essentially going under the Radix lineup for UK Masters finals, right? So obviously that fish 1, 2, 3 like scenario changing around, which at the end of the day they were perfectly within the rule set to do, so you can't blame them for doing it. But the point is in terms of like competitive integrity, shall we say, being able to do that and just change 3/5 of a lineup going into a final, like, you shouldn't be allowed to do it realistically. So
Robin was at Copenhagen Games, and Sliggy was doing ECS in America.
Yeah, no, I'm not disputing it.
Yeah,
for reasons,
I'm saying, but like shit happens.
Yeah.
Like, do you really think that team, like, they wouldn't have got, you know, all Mole and all that if Robin was there, or if Sliggy was there. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see how easy it was to happen. Though it's like, oh, you can't play, cool.
But that's the point. Like, I do think that, like, across the board in terms of like UK tournaments, ESL, UK Masters, and things like that, do need to be more stringent on the rule sets for the way that rosters work. Because at the end of the day, if you're allowed to submit like a 6-7 man roster where you've got, I mean, sorting the subs is difficult because at the end of the day you want someone to be a good standard, but most good standard people are going to be on a team, so it's difficult to put someone into that bracket, right? But at the same point, if you have the chance to put like 5 to 7 people in there, and within 8 weeks time you don't have that roster, that's your fucking problem at that point. I don't mean that in a bad way, but at the same point it's kind of like they have to do it, in my view, in order for teams to try and stick out those situations, because we've seen it in so many leagues and tournaments where the rosters have just been changing so frequently that even from the spectator's point of view, it ruins it a bit because you get no consistency across the tournaments, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard, but like UK Masters have a thing where if you default a game, then you give up all your qualification money, which is
that's true.
Is it £50 each, £100, 80 quid each, something like that?
Along those lines,
yeah. And it's like, oh, why would we give up 80 quid when we could play a game? But that's for the broadcast. What they did this season was, I don't know if it's true. I haven't messaged on Kelly about it, but it's like the top two teams, Radix and FM, on UK CSGO, it said that if the teams stay together as 5, then they would have the spot. But I'm not too sure how true that is. But if that's true, then that's something going in the right direction, I guess. Like, oh, you can only keep the spot if you keep the same 5.
Well, so I mean, in fairness, I don't really know how much of this I'm allowed to say, I guess. But
just say yes or no. Is that true?
From what I understand, then obviously, say like the 2 finalist teams that would then be invited to the next season, FM will still get that invite. As far as I'm aware, that other spot will be up for grabs, or it will go through another qualification. As far as I'm, however they'll do because of it wasn't a set roster, which I agree with as much as it like. But at the end of the day, from Radix as an org's point of view, they've literally just picked up a team for the finals, so they can't really complain in that point of view.
And the team they have now as well, like Dancy's.
Exactly right. So
they're gonna qualify. Like
I don't think they can. If they don't, then Jesus, but but yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of things like that. I mean, we've spoken about UK player mentalities a fair amount, I guess, throughout this whole thing in terms of what people should be doing and what they're saying in 2 different scenarios. This one actually reasonably a good one. So having played and casted a lot of CS in the UK, or reasonable amount, should we say at this point, what do you think primarily is keeping the UK scene behind other national scenes? Like, I mean, I still think we're quite far ahead in terms of other national scenes, to be fair, and people take it for granted a little bit. But at the same point, like, what stops us from progressing to that next level?
I said it. I played the game for 2 years, and I'm at the top of the scene. Like. How is that? How can that happen? Why is Rattlesnake and all the best players in the UK, they all quit?
I mean, even on that Rattlesnake one, there was
you can see what I mean. Like, you're bringing in me to a team where it's like, I have no experience. It takes time. Sure. Like, after flourish in a sense, we get experience and then become good. Like, I'm telling you now, if we had Rattlesnake and all of that lineup, whatever, like, we would be top 20. Like,
I mean, yeah, if they could still obviously devote the same amount of time as what other people are playing and things like that, then I do agree. But I mean, Rattlesnake was one of those people that I saw, like, it was an Odie tweet a while back, referencing, and that was kind of the thing that triggered me with the whole money scenario, saying it was like a $250,000 like super team. Essentially, they were like talking about shits and giggles or whatever it was, and like everyone was then following, being like, yeah, money's the only way that this scene's going to be kind of progress. And like, don't get you wrong, I want more money to come into the scene fundamentally, so it can, help players attend events. It can help them bring more money. It can make more professional careers, not just for players, but for whether it be people like myself working in contents like roles, whether it be people like Jazz as an admin that can get more, like the whole scene as a whole. But it baffles me to think why someone thinks that just putting 250k into a team, giving them a team house and everything like that is going to perfect everything. It's going to be great. Like, I personally think that the lack of infrastructure as a whole in the scene is still a problem, and I think that mentalities are still a big issue to really justify spending that amount of money, if it makes sense. But
well, NRG went to Copenhagen Games, and I was talking with Daps and PTR, and they mentioned Rattlesnake. Because they're like, oh, the only UK players I know is Rattlesnake, blah blah blah. Rattlesnake and Hoops G. They're like, just because he played Source.
Sure.
I know Rattlesnake and this guy called Hoops. Is it Hoopska? And I was like, oh my god, Hans G. Hoopska, is that him? But anyway, that was how much they knew. They couldn't even say his name. But like, they're like, yeah, like a lot of teams in NA were thinking about Rattlesnake, but he doesn't play enough at the moment. And I was like, what? It was like, yeah, like not thinking about Rattlesnake, but like Rattlesnake came up. It's like, oh, there's this player Rattlesnake, blah blah blah, but they'll look and see he doesn't play. He hasn't played in. When was the last time August happened? 6 months ago? Do you see what I mean? It's like, if you're NA and you're like, oh, we can fund 5k a month, all that shit, or coach, it's like, do you bring Rattlesnake in as a coach or a player when he hasn't played for 6 months? Like, where's that motivation?
Don't do it,
and that's what they said. They're like, yeah, maybe if he played more, he would have like had something. But yeah, that was spoke to a bit with NRG, and we even played them as well in practice and stuff like that.
I mean,
So that was good.
Do you think like UK teams and NA teams are that far apart, excluding the top NA teams? Like
Prac, well, they're going to the ESL LAN for Pro League, but like Prac is Prac, obviously.
Yeah,
this
you
is
can't. Yeah, you can't take into.
But we beat them 16, not 16, like 18-12 on Cobblestone.
Sure.
And after the scrim, PTR comes over to me and it's like, "You guys really woke us up." And I was just like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "We didn't expect you Euros to be this like this good at this level." And I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Yeah, you guys flash for each other, like you have setups."
You know what? Like,
and I was like, "What the fuck?"
That triggers me about the NA scene so much, right? Is that I've seen so many like NA type interviews about people, and I think who was the one that I was watching the other day? Oh, for fuck's sake! Oh no, it was a Freakazoid interview a while back actually. I think it was the Freakazoid and Thorin interview that they done, and Freakazoid was literally saying that there were so many comparisons between the NA scene and the UK scene where he's going over it in terms of like obviously player mentalities and things like that we've touched on already, but like just that sort of thing in terms of like the kind of egos on them to an extent.
He even said he was like, players on my team have an ego and they thought we were going to smash you because we're from the UK, but like we were 8-0 up on like we were like there's a round where they ran like I knew this happened. I was like, they ran me and Max are playing a bait setup at mid, right? I haven't got as good aim as fucking Fugly or whatever, but I can shoot people in the side of the head, and it's like. They were like 6-0 down. It's Prac, obviously, but it's like they ran through mid. They did like a smoke alley. They did like some fast execute. And literally, me and Max just fucking mowed these Yanks down. And I was like, someone in that team has gone, these UK players are shit. We can out aim and run at them. And I'm like, you can't do that. Like, this, like, we were in a really good scrim group. We practice versus like pro teams every single day. Like you pick up stuff, setups, how they play. Like
and playing it, but this has been one of the big reasons to going to events like CPH, isn't it? In terms of that you play against better teams and you pick up more stuff like that. That's obviously one of the big reasons why I think Imi was saying about going in the first place is because of that sort of reason. But right, so I mean, I think we've been over the vast majority of things we can near enough.
Copenhagen.
Go on.
I want to touch on this. Like going to European LAN with your team. It's so different to an ice series because I spent. You're breathing fucking hard.
Yes, I know that was one bit. Yeah.
I spent the whole time with my team, just the 5 of us. No one else. Wasn't between games, standing behind someone's PC, having a chat with like someone from Infused, whatever. Like, there's no chance of rattiness. There's no chance to digress from the team. You spend the whole time building like relationships with your team. And like getting to know your teammates and how they like having not memories but like moments like shit that happens that you can bring up and it's like you bond like going to European LAN and being the UK players there in front of all these Danish and French and German.
That
it's like
you posted at first with the British flag on the floor or whatever.
Mate, that was a fucking piss take. That was 200 likes though, so I was very happy with that. Got quite a lot. Anyway, but like. You spend the whole time with your team, you build chemistry, and like that going to Copenhagen, we come back and suddenly we're improving so fast. Like it's not magic. Like you go, you have faith in your teammates. You will stay. It's like okay, we're staying together. Blah blah blah. And then Prac suddenly becomes so much better. But yeah, long story short, going to a European LAN, spending the whole time with your team, bonding with your team. It's not like an ice series where you're drunk and you're there with whatever and you're like, like you got shit on by this team. Well, you should fold. Like, you see what I mean? Like, it's just you just build.
That you go to somewhere like Copenhagen and you lose to the teams that you do where no one really like from the outside. Like, I mean, being 100% honest, like say like with a team like OPAA, I'm assuming a lot of people don't really know that much about. In fairness, just because it's not something they look into.
It was Barry from SK.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I know SK. Like, he's good.
Yeah,
like,
I know of them. I know they're good team. But I'm just
that's
saying,
another
like,
point. Remind me about that point later on.
I will. But community people don't necessarily know that much about them because they're not really looking into that side of the Danish scene and things like that, right? But the way I'd kind of view it is at the end of the day, it's a lot easier for you guys, I guess, to kind of get over getting knocked out in that sort of stage that you did in CPH, opposed to say like
So
you
different.
lose at an I series and you get knocked down by some shit team that you shouldn't be losing to realistically, and the
Exactly.
mental differences that has on you, and especially people like yourself, like me, where you are that emotional based player sort of thing, the effect it has on you is going to be completely different, right? So I mean, to kind of round this out a little bit, what are the future plans for yourselves and Endpoint? I mean, obviously we saw that in me tweet the other day in terms of the
What was
American,
it?
the American flag and about competing in UK events. So that was like rumored up for Fragadelphia and things like that, which people started, keep it secret for the time being, I guess. Then, yeah.
Yeah. Don't know. Like, if we played UK Masters EPS,
It's too much to really
ESEA, right? So, like, it's just too much. Like,
UKGT.
we where's that land bin bag? Honestly, touch wood that happens. I want my grind. But like, it's just like there's too much, and to improve as a team, we can't be playing an official every Wednesday, every Monday,
no, I fully agree.
and then the 2 ESEA games. You see what I mean? Like, we're only gonna not playing that many, and the reason he put the tweet out was because we initially won. So like UK Masters, it was only top 2 invites instead of top 4, and we came 4th, losing to Imperials. So it's like, oh well, we're not invited, so we have to play all these online qualifiers, and then play 2 games a week for the UK event to do ice series. We don't even want to go ice series anymore. Do you see what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like,
is it really worth it?
Yeah, but we are playing in like we'll play like EPS. I don't know. But the,
I get it.
But the future for Endpoint, I can't talk about on this. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that pretty much says it all.
It's just a wait and see, I guess. Then, yeah.
Yeah, like things to be coming soon. A lot of people are gonna be hating us out of jealousy. But anyway, I'm joking. I'm taking the piss. Yeah. Keep playing.
I think a lot of people do
you know
hate
what?
you to an extent through jealousy already. So
a team we scrim, right? So Kucha and Spacey and all that. We scrim them heavily, and we've been scrimming them for ever since I joined the team. But they were scrimming before that, so 4 months, right? And they have not played one official yet because they don't want to play any officials until they are good enough.
Sure, makes sense.
You say that, but does it? Like,
well, no. So
what UK team would ever do that? Like,
no, but it's different, isn't it? Because of this is again, as much as like I'll look at that and understand the logic of it, and I don't get it wrong.
Yeah, I do as well. We do.
It depends to an extent, right? I think there's certain people that this is where it kind of depends on what you play for to an extent as well. And when you were kind of saying about people not wanting to go ahead with a trial for Endpoint or things like that because they were realizing they weren't getting paid for it, and it kind of, I think it falls down on that in terms of like people are looking and thinking, oh well, I can go to the series, I can potentially win a couple of grand, that'll be fine, and they're not looking at the bigger picture. And I think you guys, I mean, even FM to an extent, I'm still intrigued to see what or if and what they're going to go do, because they are a very talented lineup. So for me, it'd be really good to see them and you guys both kind of playing on that level a bit more. But
yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, we spoke and it was like, as long as one of us makes it, the other one will. Like, say we go to fragging out for these lands and we get exposure to the UK scene, people realize how good we are, we might get sponsorships and deals. But if we do and we do well, then FM will get it too.
Yeah.
If FM do
it's the roll-on effect, isn't it?
Yeah, like, it's like with the example they said was like FM said was like the Brazilian scene. Yeah. Like, as soon as what are they called? Tempo Storm, not Tempo Storm. Kaboom. As soon as Kaboom made it through, suddenly Tempo Storm came along as well. Do you see what I mean? So as long as one of us makes it, the other one will, and we want the best for each other.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that for a while, and that's my view as well. Is personally, I think all it does take is that one team to kind of. I mean, obviously, I think the key word is consistently. Like, I mean, it's not. I mean, so that you look back and look at the Easy Skins thing, it was just kind of that one Renegades result that everyone made a much bigger deal out of than they probably fucking deserved to, as much as it was still good. But realistically, that one map win isn't really that great in the grand scheme of things, is it? But
same as our flip side win. Our flip side win's bigger.
Yeah, exactly that same concept, right? So I think obviously.
No, it wasn't. That was on LAN, so no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was different. It was an ESEA game compared to that sort of environment. But
Premier game versus DreamHack, whatever. So yeah, way bigger win.
Yeah,
I take that back. That's a much
just
bigger
a
win.
tad.
But it's still the same. Like,
No,
what has
but
the UK scene
in
done?
terms of the concept, so that's my point. In terms of once a UK team starts doing it a bit more consistently at that higher level, then I think it will have a roll-on effect and rub off onto other teams because more people at that point are going to stand up and take notice, right? But yeah, I mean, we've been rolling for 2 hours and 16 minutes, so probably a bit longer than we've
I
both
like
wanted
you
to.
haven't even spoke to you about like newcomers coming up.
I know,
like, mate,
dude. I've got
oh,
about.
yeah, like I could go on for ages,
Dude,
honestly.
you know what? I've had the same conversation in fairness with everyone, like, and it rolls onto that about 2 hour mark, and I'm just
Right,
kind
let's
of
just
like,
sum up. Let's sum her up.
this
If
is
you're a newcomer, listen. If you're a newcomer coming up in the scene right now,
is this
and
for
you want to
playing
get
or
good,
casting?
and you want to get playing, obviously, like you want to get good. Okay, I couldn't give a fuck if you DM. Like, I when I came up, you can ask my teammates, ex-teammates, like I DM 4 hours a day. And that's how I got my aim well, but I was brainless, and then I watched demos. You want to get good at the game, fuck DM, or you can warm up, obviously, but if you spent those 2 hours deathmatching, instead put it into demo watching and doing it properly, and when I say properly, if this is a highlight, watch the whole vid, but like, the difference it will make to your game, especially on CT side initially, will make you such a better player than a DM or whatever would. So
okay, but define, obviously, like, this is where we've kind of been over it a bit in terms of, obviously, there's watching a demo and then there's learning from a demo, right? Like, in terms of what is the most efficient way to watch demos.
well, what I first started doing was POV demos.
Sure.
But for me, if you're in a team, watch a demo with your teammate, okay? And watch the demo with your teammate and look how they play, right? So for A site, at the time, SK were one of the best couple teams. So I watched, I wasn't in Endpoint at the time, but I watched Cobblestone A site alone because my worst map was Cobblestone. I was so bad at Cobblestone. Okay, how do I get better? Instead of pugging it, I went and watched the demo and I was okay, Forden plays this. When mid smoked, he goes here. They smoke off Matrix and okay, the setups as well. So it's like you got to go over setups of your teammate and know why they do them. Okay, if you're doing 2A long, so the Magic Spoy MSL A long to counter an alley default, on the barrels where you walk forward to counter flash.
Yeah.
You might see that setup and be like, oh, that looks sick. They got 3 kills doing that.
Sure.
But the reason they've done that is because the team they're against is doing an alley default. They are flashing long and smoking the bottom. You have one player playing counter flash, etc. So understand the setup and why they're doing it. So when me and Max play ace like Cobble, we're like, oh, this team does this team does this and this. This is gonna work. AWPing is gonna work. Rifling will work. Like I don't even always AWP on CT side some maps because rifling's better depending on the setup. So watch demos of your teammate. The teammate you play the site with. See how they do setups. Name them. Go over them. Practice them. Like on Overpass, me and Max have like chess setup. We have like it's called chess setup because
I'm intrigued by that one now.
Okay, it's from FaZe. Basically, I go mid, I smoke mid, and I go A long. But the way you can jump up A long is if you look at the middle of the pillar and you jump up, you don't have to do the little mid, left, strafe when you jump on the flower bed when you're A long. But it looks like the top of a pawn. Prawn. Fuck me. So I was like, oh, that looks like a pawn from chess. That's chess setup.
Okay.
So I smoke mid and go A long, and then I might have Max play counter flash, whatever, or he plays whatever. But like, you see what I mean? So name setups, have setups, and bring setups to practice, but understand why you use them. They're going up A long as a default, like similar to Navi does.
You know what? Well, like, sorry to kind of interrupt on that little bit, but that's probably one of the biggest things that I actually like really agree with in terms of knowing why, because there's so many people be like, oh, I've seen this strat, let's do that, but they don't understand the fundamental reasons of why they're playing that strat, right? So I definitely think that's one thing for sure that people need to start looking at a bit more in terms of. But you know what, like for me again, it's just it's timing on certain things. Like you watch a pro match and you watch like a UK, like 2 UK like teams playing it out, and just in terms of the understanding of the game and learning when to rotate and not rotate and things like that, very basic things, but at the end of the day, by someone rotating that 10-15 seconds early can make a massive fucking difference, right? At the end of the day, or like rotating 10 seconds later, whatever it necessarily is. Like there's so many small precise things that like those, or I'd say the kind of UK teams are still a bit lackluster on in terms of the understanding of the game. Because I mean, you said it yourself, like where you're kind of your aim's good, but your brain dead in terms of the way that you approach the game, right?
So I got kicked from Ionic for PAL.
Good old
Because of
pal.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. But it is that same concept, right? Is that a lot of people, I'd say, I'd put that same kind of context to in terms of they are very good aimers, but they're brainless in the way that they approach the game, and I do think it is a big issue. But obviously that's Snodz with his recommendations for up and coming players. So the question that
I can give an example real quick, right? So I learned from AZ. I was watching a North demo a week ago, right after Copenhagen. I was watching a North demo. I was I learned how to smoke perfect B plus smoke from APCA at spawn, and it was like, cool. Do they all B when they do it? I was like, I don't know. Fuck it. Go in that demo and tell me when they use it. And I was like, holy fuck, he's right. Why would I smoke B plat if they're AWPing it? If they're AWPing it and they're smoking it, there's a reason. Do you see what I mean?
Sure.
They're using it so they can smoke it. The AWP can get on stairs safely. Once the smoke fades, you do a molly take. This is the thing they're doing. They're smoking plat with the AWP. So the AWP would be stairs, and then suddenly 2 mollies would come in, and molly all the angles down, the AWP would kill them all. But like, I didn't look at it that deep. All I saw was, they smoke plat. But why? So Amy just goes, yeah, do they AWP it? I was like, I don't know. Go back in the demo and tell me. You see what I mean? Like, so yeah, anyone can learn.
That's what I'm saying. Even that basic little bit of information has then changed the way that you approach certain setups when it comes to that, right? In terms of like, that's one of the biggest things. Is say like, when there's a smoke there, but why is that smoke there? What are they doing? Why, you know what I mean? And just thinking everything through rather than just blanking it out.
Copy paste.
Yeah. I think near enough, mate. It kind of sucks a little bit because I've still got a fair amount of questions that I would like to go through. But
Go,
at the same point,
go fast. Go fast.
No,
really
I
fast.
just can't be asked to make like a 4-hour fucking video.
Really fast. Go.
Jinx TV. Obviously, you appeared on that. Nice appearance, kind of going on TV and whatnot. What was that like for you in the first place to do that sort of thing? Didn't you watch it with your parents as well?
No, parents watched it. And my sister as well.
That's all right.
TV isn't for me. It's too broad. When I'm on there, I want to talk about like the nitty gritty, like
Sure.
The real nitty gritty not strats, but like the questions they asked me were like, Astralis won. Who won? Astralis. What was the what was the trophy like? And I was just like, I don't care about the trophy. I care about the fact that Device played this certain way, and I want to break that down. Do you see what I mean? So for me, TV is too broad, and you have to be very simple, and that's not for me. So yeah, TV's not for me at the moment.
Yeah, who knows what the future may bring, right? So same question that I round it off with everyone near enough in terms of this is the gimmicky question of the whole segment, by the way. If you had to choose 4 players from around the world or around the pro scene, not able to list any of the players that you currently play with, to form a team, who would you choose and why?
Oh God!
I mean, I've done this question to Jackie earlier.
IGL. Let's start. Obviously, wait, it's not UK, right? It's just pro.
Yeah,
it has to be.
It has to be pro.
Okay. Gobby would be my IGL. I've wanted to play Gobby ever since I saw that first Mousesports team. Like the passion he has for his teammates, the belief he has in his teammates.
I respect it.
I watched the big documentary back, and he's like, Keeve, peek here, you're a fucking hacker. Like that sort of shit. Like someone with great belief in you. Sure. And I know that'll come with me in Indian time, so I have no worries about that. So yeah, Gobby is my IGL, just like the way he calls. Support player, Cold Zero, no brainer, best player, and second AWPer.
That's true. So he can do everything pretty much cold.
What am I missing out? Lurk, I want Magic's boy. Just for that young, sort of like similar to me, like 19, same age, whatever. Level of player.
So entry.
Entry would
you're
be...
AWPing here, right? So
yeah. Entry would be... what would the entry be? Apex. Oh god, Apex is so fucking good. Apex is by far my entry. It's probably one of my favourite players.
To be fair, out of that, I mean, the cold one I'd say is probably going to be the universal one throughout this segment, just because the cold is the fucking nuts, right? But yeah, I'd probably say that's probably going to be one of the more varied lineups that I'd get out of this, because a lot of the other time, I guess the people that have kind of choose the very public limelight ones was the Gobby type one. I don't think a lot of people would actually like be their first go-to as an IGL.
I'd love to play for Gobby. Like, I'm just thinking,
I respect it. Why? Like,
yeah, or Existence. Yeah, probably Existence actually, because like
even
being
now,
behind, being behind and just like I don't know, like the passion and like the hard work. He leads by example. Like he DM'd for 2 hours before their game versus North Academy. Like they lost, but like DM'd for 2 hours,
Yeah,
went
yeah.
over the demo. But like he leads.
He's
He
got
plays
that
very
presence
emotionally,
about
but
him as well, though,
yeah,
doesn't he?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. But so yeah, IGL existence. I've got B support, COD Zero, Apex some entry. I'm missing something. Second support or like
well, I mean, no, because if you're,
look. Oh yeah, Magic Spot,
yeah,
Magic Spot, 100% Magic Spot.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
gonna say
But like
if you're the fifth,
yeah, big fan of Apex. He's one of
I
the best
respect
people
that.
I've
I
ever seen.
respect that.
One of the best people I've ever seen at killing people. Like, and that's honestly talent. Like, I can't explain it. But yeah.
That's cool. I do
Next
get. I
question.
respect
Next
it.
question.
I'm trying to just quickly think if there was anything else that we did need to specifically go through. I mean, there's loads more UK scene shit that we could do, but that would literally go on for God knows how long if we were to do that one. Sort of people that you've casted with so far, obviously you were very complimentary towards Flakes and how Flakes has helped you a lot. Who is the kind of what other people have you casted with, like, and who have you enjoyed casting with besides or outside of Flakes? I mean, you've done stuff with Jackie a fair amount. I know you're kind of I mean, we kind of touched on it a bit with the way that like Ryan's a very serious person, Jackie's that more casual type that will throw in a lot of random-esque stuff a lot of the time. I
Yeah,
guess.
but I needed that. I needed that seriousness and professionalism. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, from
otherwise I would have been stupid. Like, not stupid, like
sure.
not mature enough on a cast and a professional of a cast. Like EPS, if I hadn't cast your Flakes, I would have been shit. So yeah, favorite people to cast with is probably definitely Flakes and Jackie, both the same. Flakes because he taught me and we have good chemistry, and Jackie because it's a laugh. Like it's really good for entertainment. But yeah, our EPS cast was amazing. I'm very proud of that EPS cast.
Yeah, no,
But yeah, both the same. I'm both very good friends with them. But yeah, those two.
Yeah, that's cool. I dig it. Last question that I'm going to ask is in terms of what would be your ideal tournament format for UK tournaments, as there's been a bit of discussion over that one recently. Are you a fan of the whole Copenhagen way of doing it, of GSL type
It's
formats?
way better. It's way fucking better. GSL format into single elim bracket. Playoffs at a major single elim bracket, a single elimination. Like people playing for $1 million, and people care so much about paying 60 quid to come to an ice series.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
that's a pretty good example I put there. Like,
yeah,
if the biggest tournament in the world is single bracket, I've played single bracket and I know it's better, and I lost, and I spent 300 quid to get to fucking Denmark. I couldn't care less about your 100 quid.
But do you think, again, that's kind of the point, though, in terms of when you're going to Copenhagen and losing to certain teams, whereas when you go to ice series and you lose to a dog shit team and you lost in single.
Doesn't matter. Like, the thing is, the B tournament at Copenhagen had like binary dragons. What was it, like binary dragons? Even LDLC when they lost to North. Oh no, they were in the main tournament. Binary dragons, alternate attacks, Pride,
good fucking teams essentially.
Epsilon. No, I'm missing some. Pride was one of them, like Epsilon. But like, you see what I mean? Like the B tournament, that was unreal. But yeah, for me, single limb bracket, 100%.
Cool.
Double a limb, especially best of threes and shit. It's just go hard or go home. Anything else?
No, I respect that. I dig it. I think that's near enough. Gonna sum up like the whole 2 hours and 30. We've dug it out for, mate. We've done well. We could go for another 4 hours, so we can.
Updates.
Updates.
At Snodz CSGO on Twitter, obviously. Plays for TV, so Snodz. I'm gonna be releasing content soon. That's why Adam Jessup bought me this webcam. Guides. Well, I wanted to do guides during EPS, but
I think guides would be very, very good. I think
they're
needed.
Yeah. But the problem was, I wanted to do them at EPS, but the problem was, there were some problems. Basically, I had an offer from someone to pay for the videos, but then I joined it. But then Endpoint happened, so like I couldn't do that. But anyway, long story short, content coming soon. On a break now for 10 days, which means content coming soon. I can't stream, I haven't got good enough internet, but maybe one day. But yeah, for now, look out for guides coming soon.
Cool. Any more shout outs or whatnot you want to make to end the video off?
At Flakes TV on that. God, shout out to Dancies. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Love you. Shout out to Imi for giving me the opportunity to join Endpoint. Shout out to Flakes for giving the opportunity for UK Masters. Live life and learn from mistakes.
Right, ladies and gents, this has been the 5th episode of Meet the Scene with Alex Snodz Byfield.
5's my lucky number. There you go.
It was going to be 4, but the Jackie one and your one kind of swap places. So I've done you a favour there, mate. But yeah, either way, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you can. And if you liked it, by all means, give me suggestions on who else you would like to see on Meet the Scene. And other than that, take care, and I will see you soon. Peace.